Chapter 5387. If you are lucky, you may be able to come out from other places. If you are lucky, you will be cut off directly when you encounter a space crack. And there is a strong swallowing power in it, obviously with the power of a cosmic black hole. Terrible. Leave here first. Xinyuan Depan's expression changed. Many Dao monarchs have already been swallowed into the void, and everyone will have to sink in if they don't leave. Gu Tong turned his head and flew over. After seeing Xinyuan Depan, he said anxiously, "Brother Xinyuan, there must be someone to stabilize the space here. If we are delayed, there will be people in Jinyun City." "Okay, then there will be General Laogu. I will lead people to kill to the source so you can guard the space here." Xinyuan Depan finished speaking, and the divine power wrapped Xia Meng Guanyu and brought tens of thousands of troops against the current. The eyes of Gu Tong, who remained in the same place, changed without saying much, and the space was instantly calmed by a decisive battle. The void reptile is very weak and can't stop the army at all. Xinyuan Depan also ordered to go down, not to kill these reptiles. The army obscured the sky and went retrograde all the way. The Apocalypse clan powerhouse far away at the source of the void also found a huge aura approaching, and his eyes flickered. "Let's go." They have seen it through, and as the great elder ordered, stick to the border. The three chiefs turned to leave after speaking. Many people are unwilling in their hearts. Why are they left behind? Even with this backhand, thousands of troops will attack. They can still defend, but behind. Taoyuanqing. Inside the Chinese army hall. Xia Meng's brows became a knot. It's been an hour since Xinyuan Depan took the people, and there was no movement at all. What should I do? No matter how strong the Apocalypse tribe is, it is impossible to swallow tens of millions of troops directly. There must be some conspiracy in this. Ordered to go down, the 5 army camps dispatched, bypassing the barrier and heading straight to Emo Luo's lair. Zhuojun Zhong Liang followed the order and led Zhuojun into the barrier again. Two-pronged approach. One is not willing to give up the people in the enchantment, and the other is to go to the lair of the border of Maluo to explore their reality. As one of the 3 generals, General Zhong Liang, on the left has some changes. He felt that this time the expedition was not right. The argument given by the empire was to cut the vassal, but after the battlefield, the ambition of the Maluo kingdom would have to fight even if it did not cut the vassal. Now the main force of the Mora kingdom retreats to the Azura plain, almost retreating to the base camp. Only the tribal powerhouses of the Apocalypse tribe were left, and they were confused. If you continue to care less, let alone win this time, it would be good if the entire army is wiped out. The commander also has a big problem. At this time, the risk of sending troops hastily was already huge. But on the battlefield, only one person can listen. Even if he raises an objection, nothing can be reversed at this critical moment. The army was mobilized again, and the army in Zenyunqing was less than half of them next time. More than half of the 5th Order emperors were transferred. Xia Meng took out a piece of jade slip, looked at the ancient writing above, puzzled, but could only do it according to the above. The old nest on the border of Maluo. After the great elder retreated, the strongest person here was the great leader of the Apocalypse tribe, the 5th Order peak of strength, and 10 5th Order emperors under his staff. Elite combat power is no more than 10 million. This kind of person, if head-to-head, wouldn't necessarily be able to stop the 3,000 camps in the Xinyuan Depan belt. Big Chief, Xinyuan Depan has already rushed out of the quagmire with tens of thousands of troops, and the 5th Army camp in Zenyunqing will not arrive soon. The interrogating scout respectfully delivered the inquiring news. Chief Apocalypse sat firmly on the high platform, his eyes stern. In fact, there was the Great Elder instructing behind all this, but now he has not seen what the Great Elder wants to reach. Continually attracting Daxia's main force into the mire, now they are halfway in, and they are all in front of them immediately, but nothing happens. If this goes on, they really have to work hard. Both sides are very passive now. I don't know what to do next. Xinyuan Depan had already reached the source of the void. It was a black hole the size of thousands of battles, and the endless devouring power was breathtaking. Jian Wushuang was even more drooling. Black hole? Devour. If this black hole is moved to the Sea of Origin, he will be able to raise the origin of space to the realm of Mahayana if he is not in harmony with the Tao. The origin of space is divided into several levels. The first is to condense the space. This Jian Wushuang has done it long ago. The formation of space is regarded as the realm of stars. Afterwards, the space condensed countless stars, regarded as the Hinayana, and reached the realm of lunar. Now Jian Wushuang is the realm of Taiyin. The sun and the moon appear, and the space is stable. The next level is the Mahayana realm. Black hole. He has the power to swallow and knows a lot about black holes, but if he wants to step into this realm, he needs to spend a lot of energy. After the black hole state, it is the virtual universe. That is cosmic space. Once the virtual universe condenses, it is considered the pinnacle of space. That is the ultimate realm. The stars, the moon, the black hole, the universe. For realms. Generally, after breaking through the Emperor, you can master the origin of space and reach the realm of stars. In the outside world, you need a second-order Emperor and needs a third-order Emperor in the Earth. As for the Taiyin, it was controlled by the fourth-order Emperor. There are many fifth-order Emperors in the realm that can be controlled. Black holes can only be controlled by fifth-order and sixth-order Emperors. As for the universe, it needs the highest Emperor of the sixth rank to control it. Jian Wushuang is just a Taoist, can reach the Taiyin realm, and many fifth-order Emperors of the realm have reached this level. Even some fourth-order peak Emperors from the outside world are at this level. If he swallows that black hole again and directly achieves the realm of black holes, he will step into the realm of Mahayana in one step. In the future, the harmony will be more smooth. The innumerable fragments in the Sea of Origin are like stars, two huge fragments condensing the lunar shadow, and now there is a black hole. If it grows on its own, these fragments will eventually condense and digest, forming a black hole. But that is too slow. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, but he didn't expect this time to be straight, and there would be such a great opportunity. Turning his head to look at Shenyuan Depan, he bowed and asked for orders. "Grandpa, this is the source of the void. Those reptiles ran out from here, and I would like to guard it here." Shenyuan Depan glanced at the black hole and nodded. Although he is the fifth-order pinnacle, he has not yet mastered the black hole realm, and he doesn't know much about it. Xia Meng Guanyu is willing to guard here. In his opinion, it is because of the front. The strength is immeasurable. Going forward, I am afraid that there are many dangers, so it is better to stay here. Okay, Yue, pick some people and sit here. Jian Wushuang lowered his eyebrows and glanced, selecting in addition to dozens of third-order emperors and some fourth-order emperors he brought with him, as well as the tens of thousands of people who gathered Luhis battle formation. These people were relieved after being selected, and further ahead is the old nest of Maluo Nation on the border, which is 100 times more dangerous than this place. Chapter 5388. It is a great thing for them to stay here. Looking at the army's back, Jian Wushuang leaked a smile and turned to look at the people who followed him here. Ever since he swallowed that time source, the evil aura in his source faded away, and he was completely suppressed by him. Looking at these lambs now, the evil breath gradually rises. The emperor, who was seeing a little hairy, leaked a surprised look, and looked at Xia Meng Guanyu to please. "His Royal Highness, why don't you rest here for a while? I'll just wait for the guard." No, it's you who should rest." But Xia Meng Guanyu's appearance began to change, and instantly regained its original appearance, and the powerful thought power swept thousands of miles around him. "Hey, I haven't used this trick for a long time." Jian Wushuang grinned and said, "One thought. Heaven and earth rise, breath reincarnation." The space within tens of thousands of miles was swallowed and collapsed instantly, and these tens of thousands of miles were his world. A dazzling sun rises in the east, and a lunar star in the west gradually rises with the force of extreme cold. And Jian Wushuang himself was like a black hole. He is not Xia Meng Guanyu. The first riots were those Tier 4 monarchs recruited by Jian Wushuang. They were most afraid of death, and they had never willingly turned to Jian Wushuang, just for the sake of the gods. It's a pity that Luohu fought in battle. After practicing for so long, he didn't use it once. Now he must kill the chicken to get his eggs. Swallowing these people, in fact, can't improve much. Mainly these people are too in the way. What he wants to swallow is the black hole. The White King hiding in Jian Wushuang's body also saw his heartbeat speeding up. These people are the first-class materials for blood sacrifices. No matter who you are, you dare to come up with Prince Daxia, and you dare to wait for me to take a shot, everyone will take him first. There are dozens of emperors present, including several fourth-order emperors. If it were before, Jian Wushuang would really not be able to win so many people. But now, mind force condenses the universe and swallows condensed black holes. The power of all things is the power of the universe. Little Emperor, even daring to defy the universe's original intention, is simply looking for death. Universe! Jian Wushuang yelled violently, and the void within tens of thousands of miles burst and collapsed instantly. These fourth-order emperors couldn't resist. After all, their strength was generally only the fourth-order ordinary level. Yin Yan Universe is Jian Wushuang's largest chassis, and dealing with these half-dangling emperors is really not difficult. As the universe formed, these oppressive emperors were unable to move, and those Taoists and some weak emperors fell directly. Even those fourth-order emperors can resist. Jian Wushuang turned into an 8-armed heavenly demon, grabbing a Tier 4 monarch with one hand and directly crushing the opponent's head. The evil aura rose up and began to eat away at the origin of these people. King Bai was already used to watching this scene, but when he saw Jian Wushuang's skillful techniques, he couldn't help but feel cold. Especially seeing Jian Wushuang swallowed by himself, he didn't even plan to make a blood sacrifice at all. I wanted to remind that after seeing Jian Wushuang's scarlet eyes, he swallowed it back. Only 3 breaths swallowed everyone present. The evil atmosphere surrounds, like thunder flashing around. The force of the divine power was thrown out, and there was an explosion that crushed the sky, and the battlefield was cleaned up. The sky is even more condensed except for the drizzle. In the past, there would still be some scattered origins of the emperor, but now let alone the fragments of the origin, he didn't even have the emperor's remnant thoughts, it was all swallowed by him. After taking a breath, the universe stopped abruptly. These people can only be regarded as a cup of tea before meals. The real feast is the black hole. Looking at the huge black hole, the swallowing force in it is many times stronger than him. If he only had the power to swallow it, I'm afraid he didn't swallow the opponent and instead swallowed it himself. For a while, Jian Wushuang didn't know how to make a move. Crackling. The swallowing power inside contained endless destruction. That power surpassed the fifth-order emperor, and it was simply not something Jian Wushuang could contend. Mind power. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and the huge thought power entered the black hole with the swallowing power, and was destroyed by the destructive power just after it entered. The power of thought was gathered again, and the power of swallowing was wrapped above it, just like the power in the black hole, in an attempt to pass the blunder. This time it did enter a deeper level, and even Jian Wushuang felt that he had entered another universe, but before he could continue to explore, that thought was destroyed again. The power of thought and the power of swallowing are not good. Jian Wushuang only has the power of all things left. It encompasses everything, just like everything swallowed by a black hole. The meat buns hit the dogs and never returned. Jian Wushuang was completely caught in a dilemma. This black hole is like a table of beautiful and delicious food, but he can't get it. King White had been staring at the black hole, and he had no clue about it, but he saw that the black hole became more familiar as he looked at it, and finally exclaimed, "This is..." For a moment he thought of the abyss where the gods inhabit, which is very similar to this black hole. Although there is no power to swallow in that abyss, when he is above, he feels that the power in it does not belong to this world. At that time he didn't dare to ask more. If there wasn't that abyss, he would have dried up and died. Jian Wushuang said unexpectedly, "Why, you also know about black holes." Although King White is taking the line of the divine body, his origin is not weak, he should have reached the realm of the black hole. After all, he is an absolute powerhouse, and he has reached the absolute summit by relying on his divine body, so no matter how bad the origin is, he should have the realm of black holes. Just like those strong people who follow the original route, the divine body is 30,000 times weaker. Even some powerhouses with double cultivation have 50,000 times their divine bodies, and their origins can reach the realm of the universe. This is the strong one. The origin of the ultimate emperor is going faster, like Jian Wushuang. I am afraid that when the emperor of the fifth order, he is expected to reach the realm of the universe. The only ultimate emperor in the primitive universe is even more exaggerated. At the fifth level, the origin realm reached the universe realm, and then it condensed the primitive form of the universe and created its own cosmic secret method. Now that he has stepped into the sixth rank, I am afraid that he has gone out of the Temple of Discord. The sixth order ultimate emperor, the origin has reached that point again. I am afraid that there is no opponent in the Qixin Temple. Jian Wushuang's speed wasn't slow either. Compared with the ultimate Taoist on the Tomb God Mountain, it has surpassed them by a lot. He can now kill the fourth order emperor at will. If he swallows this black hole, he will be able to reach the realm of the black hole when he is Daojun. But now I am stuck here, a little helpless for a while. King Bai Kenjianya didn't want to say more. Jian Wushuang knew that it must be related to that god. You help me ask that god, does this black hole have anything to do with him? Jian Wushuang still didn't give up. He was not willing to give up on the benefits that were in front of him. Chapter 5389. Beasts and gods are foreign objects, and only their own strength is strong. They are the real ability. In the future, he will not only have to master treasures that are stronger than the beasts, but also get the most powerful treasures than the beasts. After waiting for a while, King White shook his head. Master Xinling didn't reply, so I shouldn't be willing to tell me to wait. Jian Wushuang knew that if he didn't show some sincerity, they wouldn't pay attention to him at all. But the sincerity that the other party wanted, just like King Bai, was doing his life to the other party. This will not work. There was really no way, so he went into this black hole to take a look. Of course it was a clone who went in. He didn't dare to let the deity go in. If he fell, he would be stupid. A little light condensed at the fingertips, and a figure similar to Jian Wushuang appeared. I have seen the deity. I have seen a clone. The two seem to be talking, but they are talking to themselves. But Jian Wushuang turned his head and found that the aura behind him was messy. Obviously someone had come. He recovered to Xia Meng Guanyu's appearance, and the clone jumped directly into the black hole. Just turning his head to see who was coming, he found that the swallowing power in the rear skyrocketed. He was almost swallowed in, and he quickly stepped back hundreds of millions of miles before stopping. The clone followed that swallowing force into the deepest part of the black hole. In the mud. The army came in an instant, and after seeing Xia Meng Guanyu alone, the leader was stunned. His Royal Highness, why are you alone? Not counted as the first group of people, Xinyuan Depan brought tens of millions of troops, and several fifth-order emperors came together. Gu Tong said. Xinyuan Depan marched forward with people. Jian Wushuang stepped forward and slightly clasped his fists in salute and said, General, there was a black hole here just now, and I led someone to stay here. As a result, the black hole suddenly rioted, and the rest of them all fell in order to protect me. Talking about Xia Meng Guanyu's eyes turned red, a little choked. Upon hearing this, the leader didn't ask too much, just a few words of comfort. The black hole disappeared. Xia Meng Guanyu didn't need to stay here, just followed the army forward again. Only after these people left, the whole mud began to flow backwards, and the space was completely shattered. There used to be Gutong guarding the space, but now there is no one to look after it, and the space here has also fallen to death. The space collapsed and became a Jedi. The Fifth Order Emperor will fall if lost in it. In less than an hour, the two armies will be together. The left army from the other Zhongliang belt has also arrived, and now the 50 million army has been assembled to the nest of the border of the Maluo Kingdom. The old nest set up by the Mora Kingdom on the border is a huge war fortress, and it is also an eternal treasure. As today, the leader of Cheetah is anxiously anxious. This is not right with what the great elder said earlier. Isn't it that these people can't get out of the swamp? Elder Maluo, who was hiding in the depths of the void, also frowned. The black hole disappeared, only taking away one person. It seems that you have to rely on yourself. Don't forget he is a 6th Order Emperor. This time Daxia set off. The strongest is the 5th Order Emperor. Can he still be afraid? As a demon, how can you be afraid? Ding. A withered arm protruded from the sloppy sleeves, a finger was gently raised, and the sharp fingertips glowed with aurora. This aurora then burst into light like the sun. Go! At this moment, in Jian Wushuang's body, King Bai roared, Go, they are super strong. Absolutely. Jian Wushuang was a little dazed. Isn't the strongest person in Nemo Luo Kingdom the 6th-tier pinnacle? Daxia's ancestors have the top combat power of Tier 6 and are not afraid of the opponent at all. Why suddenly there is a strong shot? The next moment, the dazzling sun came. Everyone held their breath. The 5th Order Emperors all have eternal treasures, and instantly hid in the most treasured palace. Jian Wushuang followed Xinyuan Depan all the time, and was the first to hit in. But the rest of the outside world is miserable. With just a ray of light, half of Daxia's army fell. Of the hundreds of 4th Order Emperors, only a few have survived, and the 5th Order Emperors have all fallen. After all, not everyone has the eternal treasure. Go! Whether it was Xinyuan Depan, Zhong Liang, or Gu Tong, they fled for their lives. When encountering a 6th Order Emperor, no matter how strong they are, they have to flee. Can't let them go, Apocalypse. You lead people to chase them, and the main force of my Maluo Kingdom will also be dispatched, but I can't make any more moves. The Great Elder left a sentence and went into the void invisibly, and the breath disappeared instantly, as if he had never existed in this world. In the sky in the distance, an old in a red python robe faintly appeared. He glanced at it and didn't make a move, but slowly retreated to Jinyun City. Absolutely? How could it be possible? The strength of the old is only the 6th Order Ordinary. If you add the treasure in the body, it will be the 6th Order Top, the same as the ancestor of Daxia. How can there be no 6th Order Emperor hiding in the Daxia expedition this time? But I didn't expect that there would be a strong person. Originally, there were only 3 superpowers in the entire Tianan, one of whom was the patriarch of the Nalan family, had fallen. And there is the Master, Juqing. In the chaotic realm, the last one is the ruler of the Great Jin Kingdom, is the strongest immortal dynasty in Tianan. Now that there are only 2 peers alive, how can a mysterious peer appear? Could it be said that it is the Master of Chaos? It is also possible. Daxia joined forces with several superpowers to curb the expansion of Chaos territory, which might anger the Master of Chaos territory. But the other party's status, you don't need to start like this. If the one who made the shot was the Great Elder of the Maluo Kingdom, I am afraid that this battle would really be over. Jian Wushuang, who ran away frantically again, sighed a little. Why was he at large that time, and others were chasing after him? Fortunately, this time he was not an important target. In the main hall, Xinyuan Depan manipulates the Eternal Treasure Palace, and several lucky 4th Order Emperors are among them. Fortunately, this time the Xinyuan family came to Xinyuan Depan, otherwise a few sons would have to die today. Jian Wushuang sat on the stone seat like pins and needles. The bottom of my heart began to question King Bai. The other party is really the best. He was a little uncertain. If it was really the best, I am afraid it will be difficult to escape today. They don't have any help. If it is a 6th Order Emperor, I am afraid that Daxia still has defenses, and a 6th Order Emperor will come and sit down. But if it is an absolute powerhouse, Daxia will have no chance again. Zhen Yunqing had to flee. Like what he thought, Jinyun City and the 2 remaining large cities on the border are all moving, ready to run away together. After the old discovered the mysterious and powerful man, he immediately sent the news to the Imperial City. For a time, the Imperial City changed. Absolutely strong people come and go, and they are the ultimate powerhouse on the side of the Maluo Kingdom. The powerhouse of this level is the super powerhouse who can change the situation in Tianan, so the entire Daxia will have to be buried. Chapter 5390. King Bai was also a little surprised and said truthfully, when the opponent didn't do anything, I thought it was an ordinary 6th Order peak emperor, but his strength when he just started to condense his momentum has surpassed the peak and reached the peak. The strength is extremely strong and the Wuzuos. There is a comparison with the law bodies. Although there is still a gap with me, his strength is already at its peak in the realm. Jian Wushuang gave a blank look. By this time, he still didn't forget to brag about his strength. Now he is almost finished. Correct. He suddenly remembered that the old man with horns who was now sitting in Daxia but sneaked in, Daxia shouldn't be finished so easily. It is impossible for the temple to watch the birth of such an absolute power regardless. He couldn't inform over the temple, but the people from Zhao Qimen were still able to help. Okay, don't talk about those useless, hurry up and contact the people from Qimen to see what the other person's background is, and if you can save face. King Bai was about to contact him, and found that there had been no movement behind him. His voice sank slightly, and he said, "It's over, this world has been blocked again, and the news can't be passed on, but there is still good news, the supremely strong man. No more shots." The world was blocked again, and Jian Wushuang was about to despair, but he was really relieved to hear that the absolute powerhouse did not catch up. There is no strong person chasing him, even if the space is blocked, he can escape by flying slowly. Don't be too careless, there may be several fifth-order emperors chasing after each other separately, and Daxia may be annihilated this time. King Bai shook his head after sensing the breath in the rear. The powerhouses of the Apocalypse tribe are approaching, and there are still a lot of them. It was the powerhouse of the Apocalypse tribe who was chasing after him, and that big leader can now be said to be trembling in his mind. The blow just now surpassed his knowledge of the Sixth-Order Emperor. It was too powerful. The leader, the head of the Daxia Shenyuan family, the fifth-order peak of strength, we may not be able to win the opponent. It is better to let others chase after him. Let's go to that Gudong, he is average. The leader of the Apocalypse tribe snorted coldly, wanting to curse his short-sightedness. The great elder has just started, and his strength is overwhelming. One blow broke half of Daxia's army, and this time Daxia's expedition might not be won. Now is a good opportunity for them to make contributions. It is better to take risks now than to be abandoned at the border to block Daxia's army like just now. Just chasing it, Daxia's fifth-order emperor, I haven't paid attention to it. The big leader raised his eyebrows. His combat power is already at the peak among Tier 5, and I am afraid that Xia Meng is invincible, and the rest cannot threaten him. Again, this time, he took 4 fifth-order emperors and besieged a fifth-order peak emperor with great certainty. Soon, their group approached the most precious palace controlled by Shenyuan Depan. Old Shenyuan, if you surrender, I can protect you from death. Ha! The wanton laughter made Shenyuan Depan's expression cold. Surrender? The whole family is in the imperial city of Great Xia, how can he surrender? There are also 2 outstanding sons in Zhenyunqing. If his father surrendered at this time, let alone the blow to the family. Even the 4th child who is breaking through will be blocked, and if he surrenders to protect one person, the whole family will be ruined. If you continue to fight, there is only a chance to survive, but the family can save it. Even if he died, as long as the family is still there, the Shenyuan family can still prosper. And Shui was in the palace, and the 4th child was about to break through. The eldest Shenyuan Anqing had the ability to rule the family, and everything had a way out. He died without regret. Seeing being overtaken, Shenyuan Depan turned to the main hall and stopped directly. War! Shenyuan Depan stood up, glanced at Jian Wushuang and several other 4th-order emperors, and shook his head. There are no reinforcements. The 50 million army has fallen like this. What's the matter? It was not like this before. How could there be a 6th-order emperor suddenly shot, and so powerful, so much stronger than the 6th-order emperor he had seen? You are Daxia's prince, so don't insult the Xia Meng clan. Shenyuan Depan directly shook all the other Tier 4 emperors to death, leaving only Xia Meng Guanyu alone. Then he took out a small white box and said lightly, I will die in battle you. Jian Wushuang stepped off the stone seat, walked to the white jade box and picked it up. Grandpa, don't worry, Xia Meng Guanyu, will never surrender. After speaking, he opened the jade box and swallowed the pill inside. Looking at Xia Meng Guanyu, who had lost his vitality, Xinyuan Depan leaked his madness and resolutely walked out of the hall. After he left the hall, Jian Wushuang's deity turned into a dust and left the hall with Xinyuan Depan. Only Jian Wushuang's corpse remained in the dim hall, and none of the remaining corpses were able to leave the entire corpse. The pitch-black hall looked very dark in the light from the exit. Daxia collapsed only day and night. Zhen Yunxing left the border with the remaining army. Those Fifth-order emperors who were lucky enough to escape the first attack fled madly, and none of them escaped in the end. All of them were buried in the quagmire. Gutong, one of the 3 generals, disappeared in the mud. Yu reading www.Akanshu. Kam Zhong Liang died in battle. Xianyuan Depan, the 5th-tier pinnacle powerhouse who was regarded as the father of the Son of Heaven, had never retreated, and the great leader of the Apocalypse tribe had chosen to blow himself up. Not even a corpse was left. And Xia Meng Guanyu, the 9th prince, followed Pioneer out of the city for the first time, and then died in battle. The soul lamp is completely extinguished. Xia Meng Guanyu's identity was useless. Jian Wushuang didn't bother to continue disguising, and was directly destroyed. Now he is a small guard in the Eagle Dog, the direct guardian of the Maluo kingdom. The level of the pinnacle prince can be comparable to that of the emperor, specially responsible for protecting the royal family. In the imperial city of Daxia, the whole city is covered with linen and filial piety. The emperor in the depths of the palace contacted neighboring countries, and even told the king of the great Jin kingdom of the mysterious appearance. It sounds like an absolute top, no one dares to provoke it. The Jin was reluctant to intervene. After all, Daxia was too far away from Jin. In the end, under the operation of the ancestor Xia Meng, Daxia took refuge in the domination of chaos. Since then, Daxia has become a dynasty in the chaotic realm. The intrusion of the Maluo kingdom also stopped, and instead continued to expand toward the western waters. When Jian Wushuang heard the news, he smiled from the bottom of his heart. This is probably all planned by the Old Man of the Horns. The master of the chaotic domain can send the Old Man of the Horns to sit in Daxia. I am afraid that the master of the chaotic domain will be replaced soon. Being able to unite with the Maluo kingdom and merge Daxia into the chaotic realm logically, I am afraid that the heavens of the earth may have begun to change long ago. I originally thought that behind all this were the people of the Keeman playing chess, but finally found that it was all the people of the temple and the people of the old palace. He still looked down on the temple, and the structure was smaller. This is the temple of Qishan. How could it be possible for a Kamen to ride on his head? The western front line of Maluo Kingdom. Shihai. Chapter 5391. Originally, following the changes and becoming a guard, wanted to get close to the big prince, but from the beginning to the end he never saw it once. Later, after a little inquiries, he found that the big prince was on the western front. He also changed his identity to Shihai. This is the border of Tianan, and it does not belong to Tianan in the Endless Sea. Now Jian Wushuang turned into a Taoist who came to cross the sea, sitting on a huge treasure ship, and going out to sea with thousands of Taoists and some emperors. Kill the monsters in the sea and extract the source. This practice is very popular here, and there are tens of thousands of miraculous stones in one shipment. This is only the Taoist. The third-order emperor can get hundreds of thousands in one go to the sea. Jian Wushuang shook his head. No wonder that many emperors came from other places, that is, all Taoists belonged to the local sect. He walked a long way towards the West Sea, except for the border of Maluo Kingdom. There is no country here, but some tribes and sects rule, and it can be considered stable. However, according to the rate of expansion of the Maluo Kingdom, I am afraid that wars will continue to flow in this place soon. Jian Wushuang came to the deck, blowing the sea breeze. His eyes were a little dull. He also has a clone that entered the black hole, and he is still shuttled back and forth. It has been so many years now. The colorful space is constantly changing, and he can feel that the distance from the deity is no longer the distance of a universe. It was too far away. I just planned to go in and take a look, but I didn't expect the black hole to take him so far. The huge energy brought by that black hole made him unable to control his physical body. Obviously, the consciousness has reached the depths, and the physical body is still flying slowly. The two have separated. This black hole is a little different from what he imagined. From the outside, it is not very big. According to his understanding, some mature black holes are as big as a world. The black hole he entered was obviously immature, but the inside was beyond his cognition. Interesting, it's the clone anyway. I want to see where the source is. Jian Wushuang's clone kept advancing, but the deity floated in the endless sea. It is a special place in the land boundary. Among the Tibetans, the only place suitable for survival is Tiannen Tianbei, already in the center. There are very few practitioners in the West Sea. This is the chassis of the monster beasts in the sea. Generally, some of the monster beasts in the sea are hunted on the periphery, and they rarely enter the West Sea. Jian Wushuang came here this time, not only in order to find the great prince of the Maluo kingdom, he also had to kill the monster beast to refine the source for the White King. He had originally planned to sit between Daxia and Mo Luo to reap the fishermen, but now he has transformed into a desolate Daojun. Sure enough, the plan couldn't keep up with the changes. The situation was so good at the beginning, no matter who wins, he will receive the goods, and if he loses, he won't need the accessories of the beasts, and wait for opportunities in the future. It's better now, just slaughter it unilaterally, you can't escape, let alone go to the blood sacrifice. Of course, winning is the best. Not only can you get blood sacrifices, but you can also get accessories for beasts. Helping King Bai to restore his peak, separated from the two, he can also take refuge in the old man with horns, and then the entire Daxia will be his, so that the resources of the entire Daxia can help him in his cultivation. It is not a problem to pile up the divine body directly to 50,000 times. The heavenly demon art can also be cultivated to the extreme, and then the extreme way and the sword way are improved, allowing him to reach consummation quickly. This is the benefit of having resources. It's not bad now, and I didn't get anything, and it's still a fishy mess. Can only run to the West Sea. Relying on slaying the monster beast to capture the source and give the White King blood sacrifice. The precarious ship moved quickly. If you want to enter the sea, you have to take a boat. If you want to fly alone, you have to have the combat power of a Tier 4 peak emperor. Although this is only the open sea, there are few powerful monsters, but there will still be some 4th-order monarch-level monsters haunting them, which is extremely dangerous. Jian Wushuang's current strength is not afraid of those monsters, but in order to hide his identity a little low-key, he still chose to go by boat. He has spent a fortune on the stone. Brother Jenny! On the deck, a lean little Daojun saw Jian Wushuang standing alone on the deck and walked over with a smile. Now Jian Wushuang used the name Jian Yi, and his strength was only at the level of an ordinary Taoist monarch. Jian Wushuang was a little annoyed when he saw the incoming person, but he had to bear it in order to hide his identity and smiled and said, "Brother Lihai. Brother Jianyi, how are you thinking about it, our Iron Sea Ministry, but a powerful force on Sequoia Island? If you come, I can recommend it internally. Let's go out to sea to hunt monsters. It is safe and happy." Lihai highly recommended it, while Jian Wushuang kept smiling and declined. Ever since he got on the ship, this person has been pestering him to recommend the Iron Sea Ministry. There is a powerful emperor sitting in town, how powerful he is, and he is tired of talking about it. Jian Wushuang kept politely refusing before he got out and entered the cabin room. If you are not afraid of the strong, you are afraid of being entangled in such people. What internal recommendation is just a rhetoric? He still has some understanding of Sequoia Island, is full of little stinky little forces, and there are not many 4th-order emperors, all of which are expanding and recruiting. Those who can recommend will give them some treasures. For this treasure, Lihai also spared no effort. In the cabin, several powerful Taoists were drinking and talking about the Sequoia Island. Lihai followed Jian Wushuang into the cabin together. He was thinking about trying again, but when he saw the drinkers, he let go of his thoughts and walked over. Some of these people had just been wooed by him, and there was a strong and burly man who was a leader in the Iron Sea Department, because the brother-in-law was an emperor and strong, and he didn't like the treasure that pulled the head. "Lihai, you haven't gotten that guy done yet?" The sturdy man was a little disdainful, and cast a glance at Jian Wushuang. Lihai looked like a good old man and said, "No way, it should be the first time I went to sea." I don't know Sequoia Island. I will understand when I go there. I will meet him. The strong man slipped the bottle and walked to the window where Jian Wushuang was. Very domineering, drooping Jian Wushuang's shoulders, the speaker full of drunkenness, but Jian Wushuang pushed them out of the fight. I don't know what it is, you have to regret it when you go to Sequoia Island. You will not know how to die when you die. The burly man was a little frustrated, feeling that Jian Wushuang didn't give him face, and mocked in front of everyone. Jian Wushuang shook his head, but fortunately he was here soon, and he didn't bother to clash with these people. If you really want to do it, the strongest person on this ship is a third-order emperor, who can kill at will. Through the huge crystal window, Yao Yao saw that Sequoia Island resembled its name, and the entire island was red. The huge coral is like a hill, standing there. Chapter 5392. Most of the buildings on the island are very similar to red corals, and they should have been rebuilt later. After getting off the boat, the brawny man glanced at Jian Wushuang. He could feel Jian Wushuang's strength just now, or else he wouldn't talk about it. Jian Wushuang didn't take this matter to heart at all, and went straight to the company on Sequoia Island. There are maps around Sequoia Island, and he has to get a map. There are many monarch-level monsters in the nearby waters, and even the monsters of the fourth-order monarchs often appear. If Dao Jun acts alone, he will usually turn around the island. If he wants to enter the inland sea, he must be led by the emperor. The emperor eats meat, and the Taoist follows the soup. After having experience on the boat, he decided to change his appearance. Sometimes, it's too weak to act. Walking into a narrow alley, and when he came out again, he was already an emperor exuding the aura of an emperor. There is also a big change in appearance, from long hair to shoulder-length short hair. A white gold-rimmed robe inlaid with dragon patterns, with a noble monarch aura. When they walked down the street again, many people evaded one after another, and no one dared to come forward to talk and win. Sweeping around, he came to the largest firm in the entire Sequoia Island. This is the Xingqian Pavilion, a hugely powerful business on the seabed of the West Sea. It is said that it is a huge power, but it is actually average. In Tiannan, it may not even be a small power. It is estimated that there are not many powers of the fourth-order emperor. Entering the firm, the emperor's breath is undoubtedly exposed. A young woman hurried forward to introduce her. "This senior, do you want to sell or buy treasures?" The young girl was also carefully selected, with good looks, excellent temperament, and strength. Otherwise, they will not be able to be in this level of business. You must know that the weakest people on the island are Dao Jun. Jian Wu's double-faced color did not change at all, glanced at the hall, and said lightly, "Call your shopkeeper." He is not interested in any of the things on it. Mainly to buy maps of the sea area and some intelligence, these things are not suitable for the bright side. Ask a little girl to introduce him, what can you ask? After a while, an old man in 60s walked out of the apse, and when he looked at Jian Wushuang, he leaked a kind smile. The strength that Jian Wushuang revealed was the third-order emperor, and it was also the third-order emperor of the peak level, which was not common in Sequoia Island. The old man is only 3 levels, at most the top combat power. Seeing Jian Wushuang was naturally polite. "I don't know what treasure the friend wants to buy." The 60th old man stepped forward and made a request. The two went to the apse. Jian Wushuang was not polite and took the seat directly. After taking a sip of tea, he said, "Map and information about the surrounding area." The map is naturally the map of the surrounding sea area, and the intelligence is some big forces and some strong people or monsters strong in the sea area. The 60th old man also knew that the information and maps that Jian Wushuang needed was unusual, so he showed sincerity when he came up and directly took out a map that could be said to be out of circulation in the local area. Jian Wushuang borrowed the jade slip, which was an extremely detailed and wide-ranging map. The area recorded on this map surpasses the higher world and is very vast. It takes hundreds of years for the emperor to cross. There are also many marks that record monsters, and Jian Wushuang is quite satisfied with this. I flipped my hand and took out a mustard seed and placed it on the table, slowly pushing it to the old man, and said lightly, "This is a 500,000 sacred stone." When the old man heard it, his eyes lit up, but he shook his head. Jian Wushuang froze for a moment. 500,000 is not enough? It's not that he can't afford a higher sacred stone, but he doesn't want to make people doubt his identity. It is already a lot to take out 500,000. An ordinary third-order emperor is worth 1,000,000. Not enough. Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. The old man smiled and said, "This is the first time that fellow Taoists have come to my Xingqian pavilion. Even if this map is given to fellow Taoists for free. No, I don't want to owe people cause and effect." Jian Wushuang shook his head, took out another mustard seed and then said, "There are still 500,000 here. Just extract a copy of the information from the nearby waters and give it to me." Jian Wushuang had no plans to make friends with the other party at all. They are all emperors, and they all have the demeanor of a strong man. Naturally, they don't think of those Taoist monarchs. After Jian Wushuang shied away, the old man didn't say anything. After giving Jian Wushuang a copy of the jade slip that recorded the surrounding information, he only received 1 piece of mustard. Information plus map, 500,000 yuan is enough. Jian Wushuang didn't shirk. "Since you don't want it, I'll take it back." Then he thanked him and left the company directly. The 60th old man looked at Jian Wushuang's back, turned his head and said respectfully upstairs, "Miss, that person seems to be too cold." "No problem, the third-order emperor can't help me." The voice came from the building. The tone was cold and tired and lonely. Jian Wushuang didn't stay on the island for long. Symbolically, he left Sequoia Island after buying some treasures. There are many islands like this in the West China Sea, but there are very few islands stationed there. There were still people who remembered Jenny when they came, and no one noticed them when they left. Glancing at the excerpted information, Jian Wushuang was about to go to the Vortex Sea area. There is a map to clarify the direction and location, and intelligence is the key. The formation of the Vortex Sea is no longer known how many epochs. There is a vortex in the depths of the sea. According to legend, it is because a giant beast was suppressed, but a 5th-order emperor went deep and found that there was no giant beast at all. It just formed naturally. That's where Jian Wushuang went on this trip. There was no one in the depths of the vortex. After all, it was suitable for him to hunt the sea monster. Moreover, there are many monsters hidden in the depths of the vortex, which can be calculated with 100,000,000. If he was such a blood sacrifice in Tiannan, even if Keeman cooperated, sooner or later he would have to be slashed by the hateful powerhouse. Although his current strength is good, he is still not sure of walking horizontally in the south of the sky. Coupled with the extreme breakthrough, the evil thoughts of devouring were completely suppressed, and now he is not so murderous, unless someone stops his way. For example, Jian Wushuang stopped in the sky, looking at the 7 people blocking the road ahead. Friends of Taoism, this is going to the eddy current sea area. The leader smiled, looking harmless to humans and animals. 7 third-order emperors? Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. According to the information, even if the Vortex Sea area is special, there will be no emperor coming with him. Why was he so unlucky that he met 7 third-order emperors all at once? Jian Wushuang's lips moved slightly, originally wanting to test. Bai Junwang reminded, "These people are weird, they should be from the monster race." The 7 emperors became impatient as they watched Jian Wushuang's delay in speaking. "Your vocal cords are at home." As he said, his arms stretched for 100 feet to shoot Jian Wushuang with a palm. The error-free chapters of The Sword Sovereign of 10,000 Ways will continue to be updated on the novel website. There are no advertisements in the site. Please collect and recommend it. If you like Wandao Sword Sovereign, please collect it. Wandao Sword Sovereign has the fastest update speed. Chapter 5393. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows flickered, and a huge eye appeared. When the 7 emperors looked at Jian Wushuang, they only felt that they were facing a huge eye, and sure then lost themselves. But without doing anything at all, these people leaked out the prototype, and then fell heavily to the sea level. Click. The bodies of these sea monsters began to shatter, and then turned into powder, leaving only 7 strands of origin. Jian Wushuang casually held it and put it in the wristband. It was bought on Sequoia Island to store its origin. After these people fell completely, the water rippled again. The glance just now was the deterrence of the eye of the beast god, killing these sea monsters instantly. But King White didn't say. He really didn't realize that these people were sea monsters. They turn into an adult, and it's really hard to distinguish them. It was originally here to hunt them, so naturally there is nothing to say, and when they are big, they will be killed easily. There is also a record in the information he collected that the sea monsters above the Emperor are very intelligent, and they can be transformed into the human race to be viewed by the Emperor. Jian Wushuang almost lied to these sea monsters just now. If it is a weak Emperor, I am afraid there will be a big battle here today. The individual strength of the Kraken is stronger than that of the human race, especially in the sea. It's a pity that they met Jian Wushuang. Vortex Sea Area. Jian Wushuang was floating in the air, only a foot high from the calm sea. The surface looks calm and the waves are calm, but deep undercurrents are surging. The power of thought spread over 1,000,000 miles, and after the seawater of this place was integrated into his power of thought, Jian Wushuang slowly sank. The underwater world is colorful and has a unique style, but danger comes with it. A large group of krakens wandered in it. The weakest is the earth fairy level. In the vortex, the one who can survive has to be a fairy. Jian Wushuang was like a sharp sword, deep into the sea for millions of miles. The pressure of the seawater did not hinder his speed at all. His body has long been free from the wind, not as free as on land or in the sky. Space contains everything in the universe. Jian Wushuang is still flexible on the bottom of the sea, and his spatial origin has now reached the realm of a black hole. If he masters a black hole, he can shuttle and even merge the seawater into his origin at will and control a sea area. Just like those emperors in the primitive universe control the world. Of course, those emperors control only the cumulative origin of the world, reaching the realm of the black hole. Even if there is no origin, they can control everything in the world. Start hunting. Jian Wushuang squeezed his fists. The huge power can make the sea agitate. King White also leaked a trace of hideousness. After wasting hundreds of years, Jian Wushuang finally began to sacrifice blood again, and he used the sea monster's origin, so there was no need for such trouble to plunder the practitioner. There was not much difference in the original. It only takes 100 years here to gather enough source, and then start the blood sacrifice, refining the source, and it is almost complete. The tomb of God on the mountain. Since the heirs arrived here, the true spirit has also condensed a Dharma body here, and he often preaches for the heirs. On the top of Tomb God Mountain, Zhenling overlooked the whole God tomb, holding a plaything in his hand, and lowered his eyebrows to think. Thanks, I still don't give up. It seems that I didn't hurt you last time. Zhenling said to himself, but his eyes were to see through another world in deep space. There was magma churning. Jian Wushuang would definitely recognize it if he saw it, and the scene there was the same as he saw when he was in the trial tower. He will never forget the scene where he walked the iron chain to look at the bottom of the magma, the surging of ancient wild beasts. The power is endless. There was a giant dragon that had been living there. After feeling the real spirit's gaze, his body trembled and opened his eyes. The two looked at the void across countless spaces. Zhenling glanced, stretched out his claws, and the dragon staggered. "Ha, the coward! Since I can't kill you, then I'll be angry with you." Zhenling leaked an evil smile, closed his sinister gaze, and began to plan. Nowadays, the realm always makes him feel uneasy. He has long felt that it was the giant who was suppressed in the depths. The last time he took a lesson, he didn't even let him be honest. After Zhenling's small eyes rolled around and his beard was shaking for a few times, he thought of an excellent opportunity. Long Yi, who hadn't been out of the realm for a long time, just returned to the lair when he heard the cry of the true spirit. He didn't take a sip of the wine, so he could only take another step and leave the bloodthirsty continent. But Zhenling didn't care about it. He felt that it was easy to use Long. A trace of power controlled a certain place in the land boundary, making things move toward the place he planned. No one knows all this. The giant gods in the magma purgatory swam a few times. Their eyes were sneaky, and they said to themselves, Damn, why is that old man staring at me again? Is it because King White's origin is fast being refined? The true spirit broke his good deeds last time, and now he can only rely on King Bai. It was hard to get a Jian Wushuang at the beginning, and now it is too difficult to get the inheritor. No, King White is a big deal. You can't be discovered. I have to make some noise to get the old man to look away. At the same time, the gods also began to plan a major event in the land boundary. This is what the true spirit wants to see. This matter started because of Jian Wushuang, but it had nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. Land boundary, West Sea, on Sequoia Island. The firm of Xingshan Pavilion is very famous in the surrounding area. This is all because the pavilion of Xingshan Pavilion is a legendary female emperor. That emperor was once outstanding, but now has fallen because of the flaws of inheritance. The headquarters of Xingshan Pavilion also reached Sequoia Island from the bottom of the sea, and many emperors and Taoists came to mourn. That emperor had a daughter left, no one knew who her father was, and now she is also a third-order emperor. Looking at the clouds, the saint of Xingshan Pavilion, who is the only daughter of the pavilion master, didn't have too much sadness in her eyes, just a little closed. In fact, her mother had fallen a long time ago. As for why she didn't lose her mourning, it was because of the internal reasons of Xingshan Pavilion. Before the fall of Emperor Gongyun, the fourth-order emperor, the pinnacle emperor, controlled the Star Pavilion and was also the overlord power in the nearby sea area. Now that her mother has fallen, she is a third-order emperor and can't hold the ground at all. Especially the three elders in the Xingshan Pavilion are all Tier 4 emperors, and one of them is a Tier 4 top emperor. Without her mother's shock, these people would not listen to her. If it is learned that Emperor Gongyun has fallen, I am afraid that the entire Star Pavilion has been swallowed by these people now. The reason for choosing to publish now is also a helpless move. Each era pavilion master of the Xingshan Pavilion will personally lead the stars and pray for the many emperors of the Xingshan Pavilion in the depths of the sea. Now it's about to be time. If you don't announce it, you won't be able to get off the stage at that time. Miaoi my sorrow. A greasy-looking middle-aged obese man moved up and said, "Don't worry, the old pavilion master is gone, and my father and I will support you." He said an evil smile. The error-free chapters of The Sword Sovereign of 10,000 Ways will continue to be updated on the novel website. There are no advertisements in the site. Please collect and recommend it. If you like Wandao Sword Sovereign, please collect it. Wandao Sword Sovereign has the fastest update speed. Chapter 5394. His strength is average, just an ordinary second-order emperor, but his father is not ordinary, he is the strongest fourth-order emperor in the Star Pavilion today. Xingshan Pavilion Saintess Palace Miaoya's eyes are reddish, she can only smile and nod when facing the person who hates most before. Regardless of her appearance as a weak woman, since her mother Gong Yun fell behind, she began to plan a retreat. Xingshan Pavilion's main business name, countless treasures, can be comparable to the full worth of the fifth-order emperor with weak points, tens of billions of sacred stones. These treasures are a big piece of fat, let alone the strong inside, even the strong outside wants to get a piece of the pie. How could she sit still? Among the three elders, the only female elder and her mother are in love with sisters, and naturally follow her. She secretly recruited 3 Tier 4 top emperors from Tianen, and even secretly colluded with people from the Maluo Kingdom. The West Sea has not been peaceful recently, and the powerhouses of the Maluo Kingdom often haunt them. Of course, the powerhouse of the Maluo nation looked down on her fortune, and the only thing in the Star Pavilion that the powerhouse of the Maluo nation could see was the saint. Saintess Palace Miaoya's appearance is peerless, well known throughout Shihai, and her mother is not bad, even many fifth-order emperors are coveted. Of course, secretly, no one knew that she had a leg with that fifth-order emperor. Anyway, among the fifth-order casual repair old monsters in the West Sea, no one dared to provoke the pavilion master of the Star Pavilion. It's just time that turns around, and now it's not for Gong Miaoi or Xingshan Pavilion's family that are eyeing Xingshan Pavilion. The funeral was held for 3 days in succession, and many so-called big men came. Among them there were over 100 emperors of Tier 4, which also opened the eyes of many people. Xingshan Pavilion is located in the cave mansion of Sequoia Island. Gong Miaoi was wearing a black long dress. There was no outsiders at this time, and she didn't need to disguise. She took off the veil, and the foggy face appeared completely. Her face is indeed like her mother's. She is beautiful, and even in Tiannan, it is a disaster for the country and the people. Big brother Yen, will you help me? Gong Miaoi's eyes were red, looking at the decadent man in front of him. Yen Changqing, a well-known powerhouse in the western regions, is a fourth-tier top. Of the 3 emperors she recruited in Tiannan, now there are only 2. It is estimated that she has seen the battles of the past few days and does not want to be involved in disputes. Yen Changqing was a little moved and said softly, "Don't worry with me, that old guy dare not do anything to you." Naturally speaking, it was the Great Elder of the Star Pavilion. The Great Elder was very ambitious. Her mother fell too fast at the beginning, and she fell before she had time to make arrangements, leaving this mess. With your words, I'm relieved. Tears torrentially flowed in Gong Miaoi's eyes, and Yen Changqing was heartbroken. After swallowing, Yen Changqing said with a trembling voice, "Miaoi, it's better, why don't you follow me? Leaving Shihai, let's go to Tiannan." Gong Miaoi put on the veil again, and his heart moved. "Can you let go of your sister-in-law?" Yen Changqing was taken aback, and his eyes moved away from Gong Miaoi's face. She? Thinking of this, he felt a little guilty. But what he liked was Gong Miaoi. Since meeting Gong Miaoi, he has been fascinated. Had it not been for the strong forces behind his wife, he would have divorced his wife a long time ago. Okay, brother Yen, don't think about it so much. Now the most important thing is the jade slip. The most important thing in my Xingshan Pavilion is the jade slip. Gong Miaoi leaked a smile. Now there are 3 fourth-order emperors plus 1 elder in the stars. The third-order emperor has also recruited a lot in recent years, many of which are also because of her appearance. Bo Deng, how are the candidates? Gong Miaoi's eyes flickered when he saw the incoming person. The elder in 60s who had previously been in the Sequoia Island business, walked out slowly, and just nodded without speaking. Gong Miaoi let out a sigh, and his voice became a little serious. He said, "Lately we will change. Let's set off today." After leaving the cave, the group flew towards the sea. Her target was the Vortex Sea. There was a cave mansion waiting for her to open it, and that was the biggest reliance her mother left for her. Vortex Waters. 100 years have passed since Jian Wushuang's selfless fight. I haven't had a day off for 100 years, and I've been hunting the Kraken every moment. Now that the vortex in the depths of the Vortex Sea area has drastically reduced the number of sea monsters by half, Jian Wushuang has too many methods. With the increase in the beast god realm, the sea monsters he killed can be described by countless words. There are already tens of thousands of bracelets storing the origin of the sea monster. Not enough. Jian Wushuang felt a little tired. On the sacrificial stage, King Bai sat cross-legged with sharp eyes and a low voice. Enough. The origin of that color has been completely condensed. Under the refining of Jian Wushuang's power of all things, it has been completely stabilized. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh of relief and smiled. "You have squeezed out half of my origin. If it weren't for my strong origin, I'm afraid it won't be enough to give you my life." His origin is so strong, but it is still very difficult to help King Bai condense into the current origin. Haha, don't worry, you will have what I have in the future, and you will have what I don't. Seeing that his strength immediately returned to its peak, King White was very excited. The origin was successfully condensed, and finally he didn't need to deposit in Jian Wushuang's origin. Feeling his own origin in the body, King White laughed wildly. This is the complete origin. Although after seeing Jian Wushuang's origin, I feel that my origin is just like that, but this is better than nothing. The origin of the divine body route he took at the beginning was dead, and before the dead, it was also the original source of crippling. Don't even want to reach the top for the rest of your life. Now that hope is rekindled, Jian Wushuang is simply his reborn parent. Although all this has the help of the gods are also a stumbling block for him. Just because of the oath, he couldn't break free. However, as long as his strength can become stronger, he has no regrets. Now that I have a physical body and a divine body, I don't know how the Lord God has prepared for me. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, a middle-aged man's body appeared in front of him, and then a hint of infinity came out of his fingertips. The physical body is average, but it's good enough. After the divine body entered, it instantly increased to a 10,000-fold level. King Bai is not welcome, he is waiting for this day. After the origin has settled in, the whole person has a new mental outlook. That was the once white-haired king, standing proudly in the world. Slightly clenched his fist, an overbearing aura was undoubtedly revealed. This divine body is too weak, 10,000 times the divine body, only enough for you to display the strength of the fourth order peak. If it is too strong, this divine body will collapse. Jian Wushuang reminded him, and then took out what he hadn't before. Use treasures. King Bai nodded and smirked. It's just enjoyable. I'm still waiting for the physical and divine body prepared by the Lord God, but it's enough to feel my own existence. I have been holding back for countless years and finally can be debauched. Once again, let's go to Sequoia Island, hee. Chapter 5395. Yes. Jian Wushuang also agreed. When the two met and smiled, they were about to leave this vortex-y area. At this moment, there was a sudden tremor in front of them, and an ancient bronze giant gate appeared, which shocked the two of them. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed, but he didn't expect to be more happy today, and he could accidentally encounter the ruins. Let's go inside first, don't worry about this moment. King Bai saw Jian Wushuang's thoughts. He didn't like ordinary treasures at all, but Jian Wushuang is still a Taoist now, and he needs a lot of treasures, and he encounters relics. Naturally want to go for a while. And he hasn't made a shot for a long time, and he wants to go in and warm up. It is good. The two immediately rushed to the bronze door. Not far away, Gong Miaoyi, who was holding the jade slip, flashed his eyes and said coldly, "Here." The crowd turned their directions and entered the depths of the vortex. Jian Wushuang controlled his mind and gently stroked the bronze giant gate. He wanted to penetrate but found that he couldn't enter at all. It looks like it should be the Dongfu of a fifth-order emperor, and the layout is unusual. Jian Wushuang murmured, a little disappointed. Originally thought it would be the cave house of the sixth-order emperor. The cave mansion of the fifth-order emperor is not very valuable. The most important thing in the ruins is not the treasure. He does not lack the treasure. The beast soldiers will be enough for him to use it long enough, and the eternal treasure is not available now. Ordinary inheritance is even more worthless. He has a complete genius, and his divine body is not bad genius. Yuan has the power of all things, and it needs the increase of Yuan's unique knowledge. Now he can even create the original source's unique knowledge. The origin of his space is almost reaching the realm of a black hole. The avatar that entered the black hole, although it has been swallowed, is constantly comprehending the black hole, passing on the mystery of the black hole to him all the time. Jian Wushuang really didn't like the cave of the Fifth Order Emperor, and he was now in front of him, so he would go in and take a look, otherwise he wouldn't bother to go in. King White stepped forward. Just as his mind moved, he felt a breath approaching. On the bottom of the sea, the demon aura is very heavy. It is difficult to find the aura of the strong. Jian Wushuang didn't even sense it, but fortunately, King Bai was very sensitive to breath, and he immediately noticed that someone was coming. Sure enough, the next moment, a group of masked men in black robes arrived in front of them. Unexpectedly, there are still people here. The cold voice came from the headed woman, and it was Gong Miaoyi who came. A group of 9 people. The 3 Fourth Order Emperors are all top powerhouses. The remaining 6 are all Tier 3 peaks. However, what Jian Wushuang revealed here was not weak. The Bai Sovereign's breath had stabilized, and he was also the top of Tier 4. Of course, if he exerts his full combat power, that physical body can withstand the peak of Tier 4. And Jian Wushuang also exposed the breath of Tier 3 peak. For a time, the two sides were in a stalemate. 2 fellow Taoists, this place is opened because of me. Without waiting for the other party to finish speaking, King Bai took a step, and it was a deliberate punch. The sea water within thousands of miles inflated a huge vacuum bubble and then burst out. If you don't agree, just do it. Jian Wushuang didn't expect that King Bai had just restored his origin. That's it. But it's already done, and he can't watch it anymore. Stop. Just when Jian Wushuang was about to do it, Gong Miaoyi hurriedly called them to stop. Gong Miaoyi took out the jade slip and said coldly, "This cave is indeed opened underneath. Without the jade slip, you can't get in at all." This is also unlucky for her. She encountered a tricky opponent just after opening the cave. The battle power that King White had just exploded was a Tier 4 peak, and their group was not necessarily opponents. "Miss, that Third Order Emperor, I have seen it." The 60th old man stepped forward and looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also recognized the identity of the other party and waved his hand to signal King Bai to stop first. The 60th old man was stunned when he saw it, and the other emperors also discovered that Jian Wushuang was the dominant player and that King White was more like a guard. Perhaps Jian Wushuang's aura is more like a superior person or a child of a big family. With this guess, they are even more afraid to do it. The Fourth Order Peak Emperor is the guard, so Jian Wushuang's background is so hard. At least he is also a direct descendant of a big family. Friends of Taoist, I have not seen you in 100 years, but you still recognize the old man. The old man in 60s said very softly. Gong Miaoyi's heart sank. This cave is very important to her. There were outsiders who followed, but now he has encountered a child who is suspected of being a big family, and he is struggling. Jian Wushuang raised his figure, looked at each other, and said quietly, "My memory is not that bad. Let's talk about the cave below." There is no curiosity in his cave house, but 2 of the Fourth Order Emperors of these people have the breath of the monks of the Mo Luo Kingdom, which makes him very interested. Friends of Taoist, I am the daughter of the Master of the Star Pavilion. This time I came here for the opportunity my mother left for me, that is, the cave mansion. Gong Miaoyi stood up, took off the spacious hoodie, and leaked out. With long fluttering hair, he looked at Jian Wushuang with moving eyes. Jian Wushuang's eyesight was concealed by a veil, but he still saw the true face of the other party. But Mei Sei was immune to him a long time ago. She just took one more look without too much surprise, and nodded slightly and said, "Oh, that's it. That's a coincidence." Gong Miaoyi smiled and thought that Jian Wushuang would have some effect when she heard herself reporting. What she didn't expect was that Jian Wushuang's next words were unusually harsh. It just so happens that I am also here to open the cave mansion of the predecessor of the family. Since I met an acquaintance today, then I will be generous once. It is good for us to explore together. Jian Wushuang said very casually, even a fool can see that this cave is with he's okay, just playing with each other. King Bai leaked a ruthless look and sneered, "You said that yours is yours? I also said that your little girl has a leg with me." Ha! Wanton and arrogant. Gong Miaoyi is powerless here, now she can't fight, nor can she get rid of these two people without a fight, and it is very likely that she will fight with them again after opening the cave. Fortunately, Gong Miaoyi was prepared, took a long breath, and pretended to be calm, but secretly it was a powerhouse from the demon kingdom that had already transmitted the sound. "Two seniors, I promise your terms, the treasure of the Star Pavilion, I am willing to devote half of it to His Royal Highness and my freedom for thousands of years from now." When he said this, her voice trembled a little. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly and found the strangeness. The other side of the feeling still has a backhand, but just after hearing her self-reported identity, Xingshan Pavilion is not a big power, not even a fifth-order emperor. He is not afraid at all. What he cares more about is the powerhouse of the Mo Luo Kingdom, and it seems that he is already discussing with voice transmission. As Jian Wushuang guessed, after hearing the sound transmission, the two powerhouses of the Mo Luo Kingdom looked at each other and began to transmit the sound to the young master behind them. His Royal Highness, Gong Miaoyi agreed. Chapter 5396. The two sides held a stalemate for a while, and Gong Miaoyi breathed a sigh of relief after having strong foreign aid. On the turbulent bottom of the sea, the bronze gate looks very primitive. Jian Wushuang and King Bai stood by, waiting for these people to open the door. Gong Miaoyi was able to promise them to explore together. Jian Wushuang was not surprised. Looking at the other's expression, he could guess that it might not be long before the powerhouse of the demon kingdom will come. I just don't know how big fish can be caught. If it was the Prince Rosa who came, it would be a lot of luck. Just kill two birds with one stone. He didn't care about the treasures behind the bronze door, but if he could get them easily, he wouldn't be too much. In the future, there are many places where treasures are needed, but he has not yet reached the point where he does not need resources. Even after he was in harmony, he would not care about these resources until after the 6th level. This is still his identity as the inheritor, the native monarchs of the 4 great secret realms. Even if they reach the 6th rank, there will be a demand for treasures. For example, a powerful eternal treasure, or a strange treasure in the forest of abundance. Click. Jian Wushuang raised his brows, the bronze door was opened by Gong Miaoyi, and a majestic breath spread from it. Among them, power has a 5th order level. Looking out from the door, the primitiveness and corruption inside, this cave mansion has obviously existed for a very long time, and even King Bai felt a familiar feeling that was the breath of their time. There should be no danger in it, but the breath is a bit interesting. King Bai smiled faintly. He was even less interested in these. After the original source was restored, King White spread the voice of the gods, and only waited for his physical body and divine body to truly recover to the peak. With his complete and absolute combat power, coupled with his former peak divine body, his combat power will be comparable to the superpowers such as Wuzhua and Bai. The treasures of the 4 great secret realms no longer appeal to him. There is something special in the tomb of the gods, he can't exaggerate. Now he is very interested in that little girl named Gong Miaoyi. Perhaps the source of loneliness has been restored, making him look refreshed, and there is also a young agitation in his heart. Jian Wushuang stood on the side and didn't rush in, but patted King Bai on the shoulder and said, "Don't be careless, the danger is not inside, it's outside." Some of the overexcited white kings were obviously not as calm as Jian Wushuang, and had yet to discover the relationship between Gong Miaoyi and those in the Mo Luo kingdom. The cave is opened. Gong Miaoyi, rarely humbled, turned to look at Jian Wushuang and said softly, "Your Excellency, do you want to enter first?" She was here for the first time, otherwise she wouldn't even know her location. Let Jian Wushuang advance. She is also very sure, even if she leads the wolf into the room and attracts the strong from the demon kingdom, she doesn't care very much. Because her mother left her a piece of sound transmission jade slip, which recorded all the secrets about this place. What is hers, and no one can take it away. Knowing that there was no danger in it, Jian Wushuang was naturally not polite, snorted coldly, and led King Bai directly into the cave. When passing by Gong Miaoyi, the greed in King Bai's eyes didn't hide it at all, making everyone very surprised. They were all at the top of Tier 4, so it seemed like they had never seen a woman. The two powerhouses of the Maluo kingdom are nothing. There are too many quirky powerhouses in the magic way, and it is not surprising to them. However, Yan Chongqing was a little angry, with fire in her eyes, and she almost shot directly, cursing mischievously. There was a trace of fortune in Gong Miaoyi's eyes on the side. Fortunately, she left behind and agreed to the conditions of the 4 princes of the Maluo kingdom. She didn't want to fall into the hands of those old monsters. Maybe she would be tortured all her life, living in purgatory. After taking a breath, she also walked into the cave with others. After everyone entered, the bronze gate closed again and disappeared into the vortex seabed. It's just that when Gong Miaoyi entered the cave, he left a trace of thought power in the outside world. This is a coordinate. The 4 princes of the Maluo kingdom, based on this coordinate, can be easily found. When Jian Wushuang came out, he had to face the powerhouse of the Mo Luo kingdom who was blocking the door. Turtle Island, separated by several sea areas from the sea area of Sequoia Island, there is a huge island here, comparable to a planet. On this island, there is a top power in the West China Sea. In fact, it can't be said to be a force, because the master of this place has no disciples, and the strong ones sitting down are even more pitiful. In addition to the disciples, there are some servants. These people, but sitting on the few giant islands in the West Sea, no one came to offend. The reason for all this is because of the master here. His strength is close to heaven. He is the famous 6th Order Peak Emperor in Shihai. One person is a power no one dares to provoke. This 6th Order Emperor sat down with 6 disciples, each of whom was a strong emperor. The weakest was the 4th Order Peak Emperor, and the strongest was the 5th Order Peak. Among them are 2 disciples from one family. The royal family of Maluo Kingdom. His Royal Highness dispatched the strong in the army, must be allowed by the Great Highness. A 5th Order Emperor wearing a test armor blocked the way of the 4th Prince. The 4th Prince, Luo Chuan, has lived on Guiling Island since he was a child to follow the master, and now the 4th tier peak combat power is not much different from his elder brother. Luo Chuan snorted coldly and shouted angrily, "This is Mo Luo's army, not his personal army of Rosa." The base camp where the Maluo Kingdom invaded the West Sea is on Guiling Island. Without Daxia, a potential opponent, Mo Luo Kingdom went all the way west, doubling its territory and doubling the size of its army. Now 1/5 of the elite army of the Maluo Kingdom is in the hands of the eldest Prince Rasha. A part of it is in the hands of the royal family, and the rest is held in the hands of the Great Elder. There are not many 5th Order Emperors of the Maluo royal family, and there are too few troops that can be controlled by themselves. Rasha was able to master 1/5 of the elite, but also because he had followed the army since he was young and climbed to this position step by step. Invading Shihai, he was promoted to the commander-in-chief, leading the party, no longer need to look at the face of the elder. Now he is in retreat on Guiling Island, ready to attack the 5th Order Emperor. Once he breaks through, his status will skyrocket again. Although Mo Luo Kingdom did not have a prince, it was obvious to all the famous people that in terms of strength, ability and rank relationship, they were all eldest Prince Rasha. If it is to break through, it is not a question of setting up a prince, but a plan to get his father down, and he will be in power. The current emperor of the Maluo Kingdom has average strength and average talents, otherwise the vast territory he fought and won would not be so barren. However, Rosa has a great burden. She has been fighting since she was a child, and has traveled to Dajin to apprentice, and then worshipped at Guiling Island. I spent my whole life studying in the field, and the area was closed, and the governance was well ordered. In the Maluo country, prestige can be ranked in the top 3. Chapter 5397. The elite army under his direct line naturally obeyed the orders of the prince. The 4 princes who came out of a concubine, that is, worshipped at Guiling Island, their status is a bit special, otherwise they don't bother to pay attention. The 4th prince was very angry, but he had nowhere to get angry. There were several 5th-order emperors in the army. If he dared to make trouble, he would have suffered a lot. But on Gong Miaoya's side, he had already dropped his hips in Haikao and wanted to take someone there. The opponent has a Tier 4 peak emperor, which is comparable to his strength. He was too shiver to go alone. He wanted to draw a few Tier 4 peak emperors from the army, but he couldn't move. After returning to his Dongfu, he glanced around. Among his men, there are only a few Tier 4 top emperors, not a single peak emperor. These people still couldn't mix in Maluo to take refuge in him, and he still had to support these people. Just when he was upset, one of his subordinates offered something. After Luo Chuan listened, he leaked joy and left Guiling Island with a few of his men. The vortex seabed, inside the Bronze Gate. After Jian Wushuang and others entered the interior, they discovered that this place was not a cave at all, but a primitive hall that couldn't be simpler. The decoration in the hall was ancient and heavy. The guardians of the Dharma had long lost their consciousness, and everyone came in without any reaction at all. After scanning, the curiosity in Jian Wushuang's heart completely disappeared, and then he turned to look at Gong Miaoyi. "You fool me. No wonder let him go in first, there is nothing here. These people come here for other purposes." Gong Miaoyi leaned slightly and said softly, "The sun must not be angry. Since I am exploring together, I will also give half of the treasures I get to the sun." This sounded no problem, but when I thought about it carefully, it was full of loopholes. Only fools believe it. He didn't even see the treasures. No matter how many treasures Gong Miaoyi got, he didn't know. When the time came, he would send him a few items, but he didn't have any reason to go. Can't check other people's mustard seeds. Even if you look at it, you can't know that those treasures were obtained here. Although the goal this time is not here, but for fishing, you have to pretend to be a little bit. With a slight movement, Jian Wushuang retreated behind King Bai. Bai Jun Wangta understood the meaning, leaked a sullen smile, walked up, and said sinisterly, "Little girl, I will play with you." Following Gong Miaoya's 2 Maluo kingdom emperors directly stood up, and Yen Chongqing, who could not bear it for a long time, broke out to the extreme with a direct aura. It was only a matter of direct action. "Senior, the little girl's words are true. Now we have come in. It is not appropriate to fight again. When I talk about doing Taoism, half of the treasures I get will be given to seniors." Gong Miaoyi was neither humble nor overbearing, and did not panic at all. She didn't believe that the person in front of her could be so reckless. She had to do it. King Bai moved his wrists, opened his brows, and said lightly, "I think it's better to clean up these miscellaneous fish first." As soon as the voice fell, an extremely powerful source broke out, and that force constantly suppressed everything. It's a pity that the physical body is too weak and can only display a trace of combat power, but even so, the 3 Tier 4 top emperors can't breathe. Originally, they thought that the 3 top emperors were enough to contain the White King, but they did not expect that the suppression of their breath would make them immobile. "Go to hell." The White Emperor's cuffs stretched for 100 feet and immediately wrapped several 4th-order emperors. Under the tremendous pressure, Setsuna squeezed the physical and divine bodies of several people, leaving only the origin to be crumbling. The Emperor of the Maluo Kingdom was completely panicked. He didn't know what to do for a while, and it was too late to ask for mercy. The origin of King White is mixed with everything, which is the genre of 10,000 paths. Although it cannot be swallowed and transformed into his origin like Jian Wushuang, it can also strengthen his own aura. At the moment, he wants to integrate into his body, but finds the source actually began to twist, and finally turned into a stream of water and flew towards Jian Wushuang. "You are too shameless." Jian Wushuang faintly smiled and said casually, "It's too wasteful for you. Your original origin is already perfect enough now. These things are no longer needed." These words are like a special being against the sky, born with 10,000 times a divine body, and then snatched a large piece of meat from the newly born practitioner, and said solemnly, "What kind of meat does a child eat? Isn't it a waste?" "But this is all a small problem, and King White also cares." Snapped. That Yen Changqing's origin was pinched by Jian Wushuang in his hands, and he didn't care about his struggle. The remaining third-order emperors were directly shaken to death by the White King, and even the origin was destroyed together, and Jian Wushuang didn't bother to swallow it. Now there is only Gong Miaoyi left in the same place. "Now you can talk hard. If I said something nicer, I may also consider letting your little lover go," Jian Wushuang said leisurely, sitting directly on the throne in the hall, watching everything. Gong Miaoyi's eyes flashed, thinking about the current situation. She never expected you reading www. The strength of Ikanshu. Calm White King was so strong that she instantly killed all her people. Now Yen Changqing is still hanging. She could see that Jian Wushuang's thoughts were very meticulous, and Yen Changqing only had some changes in his breath, which could make the other party guess that the relationship with her was unusual. And if you choose to do it at this time, I'm afraid you haven't seen the treasures here at all. If it's for treasures, why not wait for her to get the treasures? Then it's not too late. In the end, Gong Miaoyi concluded that the plan had been revealed, and the other party had a great plan. "Let's do it." Gong Miaoyi's eyes gradually became cold, and he pulled the veil to reveal his true face. Even the breath began to change, and the original weak appearance, but now it is a bit bursting. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised, playing with the taste. "You let me kill and I kill, isn't it very shameless?" As soon as the voice fell, he let go of the origin in his hand. That piece of origin now turned into a humanoid phantom, just like Yen Changqing. He looked at Gong Miaoyi a little lonely. It is not Gong Miaoyi's unfeeling that he is unwilling, but his own weakness. Why is he not a fifth-order emperor? If it were a fifth-order emperor, there would not be so many things. Miaoyi. Yen Changqing was full of infatuation. Then when he turned to look at Jian Wushuang, his eyes were full of anger. Angrily shouted, "I'm fighting with you." The phantom burst out with rays of light. Seeing that the cracks above it were about to explode, Jian Wushuang gripped the void. Yen Changqing, who originally wanted to explode, unexpectedly began to stitch on the cracks on the phantom. Jian Wushuang moved slightly. The cracks were not only repaired, but Yen Changqing's breath even became much stronger. He is forcibly instilling the power of all things to the other party. "Don't you think you are not strong enough? I will give it to you now." Chapter 5398. King Bai looked a little distressed when he watched from the sidelines. The indoctrination of countless powers of all things was really a waste. Do you have to do something like this to kill a Tier 4 emperor and raise his hand? Boom. In the end, Yen Changqing couldn't bear it, and Yuan began to collapse after extreme expansion. Jian Wushuang is meditating in his heart. The hospital collapsed. The trick he had just thought of was not flashy in the eyes of experiments. This trick might be a bit wasteful in the eyes of others. But his own power of everything is too much to support him squandering at will. This is an experiment on the origin of a fourth-order emperor. If he uses this trick to make the universe collapse when he uses the universe, then the powerhouse in the universe will collapse with it. The degree of this trick is so harsh that outsiders can imagine it, because no one has ever been so crazy. Gong Miaoyi can be regarded as seeing the two characters clearly. One has a reckless impulse, one kills fiercely. Is not a small role, and beauty has no effect at this moment. Your Excellency, you should have a grudge with Mo Luo State. Gong Miaoyi directly said the guess in his heart. The White King was taken aback for a moment, then turned his head to look at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang tapped the throne's handle, not too surprising, and exclaimed, "It's still smart." When meeting for the first time, he felt that this person is not simple, a third-order emperor, but attracting several fourth-order emperors. Whether it is because of appearance or means, it is not simple. Jian Wushuang flashed directly in front of Gong Miaoyi, staring at that peerless face, and Gong Miaoyi's flickering eyes had this kind of charm. "What kind of relationship do you have with Mo Luo? Tell them all." "The candle dragons I was triggered, guiding Gong Miaoyi to tell all about the Mo Luo kingdom. Jian Wushuang was a little disappointed when he heard about it, but when he heard of Guiling Island, he was still happy. The eldest Prince Rasha is there. There is a sixth-order emperor. This is a bit troublesome. Jian Wushuang pondered, and then looked at King Bai and said, "When will the flesh and body arrive?" King White shook his head. There is no reply for the time being, but it should be soon. Nonsense. Jian Wushuang's face was low. Mo Luo Kingdom's Prince Rasha is a disciple of the Guiling Island Lord he really didn't know before. Try a mad 1, gad 2. Catch X. The Turtle Island Master has the strength of the sixth order peak, so he can only wait for Rasha to come out. He wants to kill him to find death. However, after King White has obtained the physical body and completely restored to the peak, all this is not difficult. But now King White does not have an accurate time. Your Excellency, it's better to cooperate with the little girl. The 4 princes of the Maluo Kingdom are probably already stuck outside the door with me. I have fallen, and you will be trapped here. Survive in the hand. Gong Miaoyi calculated the bargaining chips in his hand, still not willing to give up. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up, the 4 princes of Mo Luo Kingdom. Now the bait in this lesson is not enough. I can only catch a 4th prince. If Luo Chuan from the outside world is taken, it is possible to catch Luo Sha. The 2 are brothers, so they should not come to rescue him. That's right, Jian Wushuang thought. But what if the island owner of the turtle spirit comes in person? The White King's current combat power can fight the 5th Order Emperor. It is not bad, let alone the capture of the beast soldiers. I am afraid that it will be difficult to survive. If it is other forces, he is not afraid. But there are just a few disciples on Guiling Island. Rasha's strength is also the pinnacle of Tier 4, and he may not come to the rescue. Even if he does, he may bring a few Tier 5 emperors. The opponent holds a group of elite troops from the Mo Luo Kingdom. He still needs some preparation, but the 4 princes outside are a good bargaining chip. Forget it, let's work together next time. Jian Wushuang's deep hand directly grabbed Gong Miaoyi's jade neck, ready to get to know her. The White King who was standing next to him leaked a strange look, but seeing Jian Wushuang's intention to kill him, he didn't dare to oppose it, so he could only regret it. But when Jian's palms touched Gong Miaoyi, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. He found a slight commonality in the opponent's body or in the origin. Is related to the ultimate. His ultimate kendo now stays on the 7th level, and he has not even reached the peak. He wants to break through without knowing the year and month, but the breakthrough of the ultimate sword has a clear direction. The clone has been in the black hole to understand and improve quickly. The realm of the black hole is the ultimate success. The most confident kendo in the past has never had the opportunity to break through. After entering the 7th level, the purity and ultimate pursuit of kendo, on the contrary, he was helpless. The extreme way is mixed, contains all things, teaches nothing. Try mad 1, gad 2. Catch X. The ultimate kendo is pure and inexhaustible, pursuing the great and simple from the same. There is this essential difference between the two, and it is not easy for Jian Wushuang to cultivate 2 opposing schools to this point. Originally, he was going to take 1 step at a time. It is impossible to give up the promotion of Jidao just because the kendo is stagnant. This is a very stupid approach. As long as the Jidao can still improve, he will not give up any opportunity. As for kendo, the same is true. Now he sees the ultimate opportunity, which contains the ultimate flavor. This is the first time Jian Wushuang has encountered the ultimate aura in the 4 secret realms. Yu reading www.ukanshu.com in the 4 secret realms, he could not even find a complete Tao, but now he has encountered the ultimate source, which shocked him. Held Gong Miaoyi's hand slightly loosened. Gong Miaoyi, who could not breathe out, found Jian Wushuang let go, feeling that there was a chance, and tremblingly said, "The sun has a life around me, there must be a heavy thanks. I am willing to offer the treasure of tens of billions of sacred stones." Several tens of billions? Jian Wushuang shook his head. He really didn't care about this. He just wanted to know how the other party's origin was cultivated. But this is not the place to consider these things. They have to go out first, and it is not too late to study after they go out. After releasing the iron-like palms, Gong Miaoyi took a step back, her chest rising one after another. She almost died on Jian Wu's hands just now. She didn't dare to play any cleverness. She thought that Jian Wushuang had let go of killing after hearing the treasure, and quickly settled Jian Wushuang. My son, I will start the inheritance in the hall. It only takes 1 day. All the treasures will be returned to 2 places. I just want to let my life go. Gong Miaoyi bowed and bowed directly. Seeing this, it was obvious that Jian Wushuang gave her a guarantee. King Bai was on the side and didn't say anything. He could see clearly and knew Jian Wushuang's character. Since Gong Miaoyi was kept, it must be for some reason. Otherwise, using Jian Wushuang to fight against the decisive character will definitely not pity Xiangxiu. Jian Wushuang saw through the other's thoughts at a glance, and said indifferently, "You can take the inheritance, but you have to give it to me. Don't be clever, but you can spare your life." After having this promise, Gong Miaoyi was not talking nonsense, got up and started the inheritance. Chapter 5399. The dome of the hall shuddered, and for a moment the transparent crystal ball fell from above and fell in front of Gong Miaoyi. The crystal ball reflected Gong Miaoyi's face. Jian Wushuang and King Bai retreated to the corner of the main hall, quietly watching Gong Miaoyi's every move. The master of this inheritance is not the Fifth Order Emperor. I am afraid that the existence of the dove occupied the magpie's nest and put this inheritance in this cave. King Bai has a wide range of knowledge, and he can see the special inheritance at a glance. A treasure that the Fifth Order Emperor can get. Although the knowledge is not as good as that of King Bai, Jian Wushuang also has a judgment on the aura scattered in the inheritance, and that aura is familiar to him, just like the aura in Gong Miaoyi's body. It's all related to the ultimate. He was puzzled before. In the ancient times, although the ultimate way was rare, there should be a lot of it. With this ultimate inheritance, it should not be too difficult to join the way. Even if there is only a 10% probability, there should be many ultimate emperors. The ultimate knowledge of these emperors should be passed down from their origins. But now, not to mention the primordial universe, a universe that hasn't been long before it was born, it should be said that there should also be a lot of ultimate knack in the temple of Qixin. But in this regard, he hadn't even heard of it. Now that he saw this inheritance, it was the first time he saw the ultimate jerk. King White only saw that the inheritance was extraordinary, but he didn't see that it had anything to do with the ultimate. This inheritance should have been created by the master of this cave mansion. Jian Wushuang shook his head, vetoing King Bai's opinion. King Bai was stunned for a moment. He admired Jian Wushuang very much, especially in terms of origin, but he didn't dare to agree with his vision and insights, and said in doubt, "Why do you see? The master of this cave is a Fifth Order Emperor, but it is very likely that he is the Fifth Order Ultimate Emperor." Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed across the flash. The Ultimate Emperor. He has never seen it before, nor has King Bai. But the Ultimate Taoist, Jian Wushuang had seen him before, and he had also seen a lot of them. When he was in Qishui Hall, he felt a lot of the same breath as him. Then on the original star of Jiajiu. Whether it was Hui Qing or Ji Chaoyang, he had seen each other's shots, and he couldn't be more familiar with that breath. Although there is a big gap between Dao Jun and Monarch, the aura will not change. The ultimate pursuit of the ultimate way of origin is far from the ordinary origin. When the White King heard the word ultimate, he said in surprise, "Ultimate Emperor, are you sure?" After living for so long, he had been in close contact with Jian Wushuang, the ultimate Taoist, and leaned over as one body, and he also experienced a lot. But it is not his origin, he still knows too little about the inner core. Jian Wushuang just nodded, did not say anything, and looked at Gong Miaoyi, who was accepting the inheritance with full concentration. The ultimate jerk. If the 4 great secret realms have such inheritance, I am afraid that they would have been collected by the 4 great halls a long time ago. How could there be leftovers? Ultimately, staying in the 4 great secret realms is a waste. It seems that there are many secrets in Gong Miaoyi's body. When he goes out, he has to find out. An aboriginal emperor in the 4 secret realms. With average strength, he couldn't do anything better than the other party. The ordinary tier 3 peak could be slashed at hand. But Gong Miaoyi contained the ultimate in his body, and he could still accept the inheritance of the ultimate jerk, which was very outrageous. Gong Miaoyi's robe fluttered, sitting still to accept the inheritance. This inheritance was left to her by her mother. The jade slip recorded her origin and her father's secrets. She couldn't just die like this. She had to accept the inheritance and continue on the path that her mother hadn't finished. Go down. She is going to embark on an impossible road. When her mother descended from the heavens to the earth, she was pregnant, she was seriously injured, and her foundation was broken, otherwise she would not fall like this. It's all because of her. At this moment, how dare she live up to her mother's legacy? Cultivation is unparalleled. Return to heaven to avenge blood, and look for his father. This is her long-cherished wish that she will fulfill as long as she survives one day in this life. A stream of light, 10,000 lines returned to one point, gathered on her chest, and the purple inner armor faintly appeared in the black robe. The inheritance has reached a critical moment. Her origin is constantly rising, and the original incomplete origin has actually begun to be repaired at this moment. The divine power began to change, from a simple power to a special power. That is the power of Yangshin. The true originator of the beast god one level higher than the candle dragon. The golden beast god, also known as the sun god. It is the source of space. The candle dragon is also the beast that contains the golden space, but it was bred from the golden space, and it was still a grade behind the sun god. Jian Wushuang's eyes were hot looking at the side. This kind of genius is too bad, and not losing is the ultimate genius. He couldn't help but marvel that the ultimate emperor was definitely a arrogant who was blindly shocking the world before, otherwise it would be impossible to create such a powerful and heaven-defying genius. Containing the power of the sun god, doesn't it mean that the space has reached the extreme? But that emperor, why is only the 5th rank? Jian Wushuang frowned. After calm, he went to the Tomb Mountain, and he must ask the true spirit face to face when he has the opportunity. This kind of character is by no means an unknown person. Gong Miaoyi's power is sublimating, his whole person has changed his appearance, and his aura has undergone earth-shaking changes. After that breath is blessed on the beautiful face, Gong Miaoyi is no longer the kind of person he used to be, but has the domineering style. The strength has changed, and now it is at least comparable to Tier 4's top combat power. Jian Wushuang is not surprised. If Gong Miaoyi is still as wasteful as before, he will see a ghost. I have to say that Jian Wushuang has picked up the treasure this time. Gong Miaoyi slowly got up and let out a sigh of relief. The inheritance is over, there is no difficulty. This unique knowledge is related to the origin in her body and is very consistent, so there is no difficulty. After gaining a boost in strength, when she looked at Jian Wushuang again, she still couldn't see through it. This made her thoughts of getting up just extinguished again. In addition to Jian Wushuang, there is also a 4th order peak emperor next to him. Thank you for protecting the way, son. Gong Miaoyi bowed and thanked him. After the inheritance was over, the crystal ball disappeared and returned to the dome. This inheritance can only have one existence, and unless Gong Miaoyi falls, it cannot be passed on. Only Gong Miaoyi knew this secret, and if it were to be known to outsiders, she would probably die too. Although not everyone can practice inheritance, but at least try it. Not to mention anything else, those Tier 6 bosses will definitely come to it. The 3rd order emperor can be killed at will, without any obstacles. You can obtain a powerful inheritance, even if you can't practice. Just look at it, maybe you can help yourself. She had to keep this secret, just like her mother, she only told her many things after she had fallen. Chapter 5400. Now that she has mastered the absolutism, she finds that it is much stronger than what her mother told her. She now feels that it is enough to fight higher, and killing the 4th order emperor is not a problem. This is also the reason why she has the confidence to recruit several 4th order emperors here. Once accepted the inheritance, the strength skyrocketed, comparable to the top emperors of Tier 4. With many treasures, there is no fear of several emperors in the same industry. But now it was an accident to encounter Jian Wushuang and King Bai. The strength of the two was unfathomable, and she did not dare to act rashly when her strength soared. Jian Wushuang stood there and didn't leave. For a while, he was a little uncertain of the opponent's strength, and turned his head to look at King Bai and beckoned him to check it out. Regarding this request, King White naturally did not have any objections. "Little girl, your unique knowledge is a bit special." The White King approached unkindly, frightening Gong Miaoui. Just as he was about to do his hands, the hall suddenly began to shake. Jian Wushuang quickly backed away and left the hall. A powerful breath rose up, not the appearance of the strong, but the birth of the heavenly treasure. This breath spreads far and wide, and can even be felt in the outside world. Above the Vortex Sea area, the 4 princes of the Maluo kingdom floated over the sea with a team of the Maluo army, and no practitioners nearby dared to move forward. The Shihai monks were mostly casual cultivators, with few sects, and there was not one in the country. Forces of the level like the Maluo kingdom, when they reach the West Sea, are like overlords. A line of hundreds of emperors, and there are even 5-tier emperors. Luo Chuan frowned. The 2 fourth-order emperors had fallen, according to the location he found here, but did not find any aura. Even the 5th-order emperor who came with him can't find it. His Royal Highness, there are absolutely no monks in this place. I have checked the bottom of the Vortex Sea one by one. The only 5th-order emperor level Demon King was killed by the general. The only 5th-order emperor in the team fucked his brows. He originally patrolled other waters, but Luo Chuan pulled him over and said that he was killing the rebellion. As a result, I have been wandering around here for about a day, and no one has been seen. I can't help but feel dissatisfied in my heart. The same prince, the eldest prince, continued to fight and made great achievements. But the 4 princes had the strength to do nothing, and every one of these veterans was worthy of Luo Chuan. That is, the identity of the disciple of Guiling Island, which has a little effect. This was when the great elder Maluo came forward, and the master of Guiling Island gave the opponent and accepted the 4 princes as disciples. With this status, the status of the 4 princes in the royal family is also very detached. After all, strength is the fundamental. However, there is still a big difference between the royal family and the military department. You may not be able to gain a foothold in the military department when you are in the royal family. The military is not only looking at strength, but also military merit. This point can be said that the eldest Prince Rasha has achieved the ultimate, able to temper his elite from the elder's command, and now he is commanding 1/5 of the army of Mo Luo, of which there are 10 emperors of the 5th order. The 4 princes did not have a single soldier in the military department. Except for several 4th-order emperors bestowed on him by the imperial family, they had taken some servants in Shihai. Now facing the 5th-order emperor of the military department, although the opponent is not very face-to-face, Luo Chuan is not easy to offend. General Kuntai, there is no problem with my intelligence. Wait a minute, this time the other party is a big fish. Luo Chuan leaked a smile, appearing very approachable. He didn't have any information, but his subordinates told him a position, and he rushed over. For the inheritance, he doesn't like it at all. Gong Miaoui. There is this portrait in Luo Chuan's eyes, and the corners of his mouth are slightly raised. This time, it was for Gong Miaoui. The opponent's physique is special. If he can double cultivation, it will help him to break through the 5th-order emperor. This is the key. The boss, Rasha, is now in retreat to break through the 5th rank. The two have competed with each other since they were young. He must not lag behind each other. Although he has no interest in the throne, but within the royal family, all the strength speaks, and the strength is strong enough to get more resources. On Guiling Island, only Taoism is taught, not treasures. The reason why he was able to break through so quickly is because of the family's treasures, coupled with the teachings of the Turtle Spirit Island owner. The two are indispensable. In terms of right and left, he is even better than the eldest Prince Luo Chuan. At least he is fickle. He would never be like Luo Sha and the great elders, leaving the Mo Luo with the army and coming to the West Sea. A breath broke out, turning the sea upside down. Luo Chuan looked happy, and now led people straight to the bottom of the vortex. Inside the cave, King Bai was the closest to Gong Miaoyi, but he didn't dare to step forward anymore. He could feel that the breath was on Gong Miaoyi's body. The breath is majestic, although it is the most precious breath, but there is also not to be underestimated. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank and he shouted sharply, "Go first." "Go? Do you think I will let you go?" Gong Miaoyi's eyes were a little red in a domineering voice. The black robe burst instantly, leaking out the close-fitting red inner armor, enveloping her exquisite figure, with uneven, long hair flying. Yu reading www.Akanshu. CM the jade hand gently lifted, the blood-colored lines clearly visible on the arm were drawn to the fingertips, the palm was slightly opened, and a blood-colored crystal ball floated in the palm of the palm. The fourth order peak. Jian Wushuang frowned. He never expected that this time the boat was overturned in the gutter and a little lady would play with them. King Bai retreated to Jian Wushuang. The old monster who had lived for countless years looked away. No wonder Gong Miaoyi agreed to all the conditions that were mentioned at the beginning, and it turned out that he was waiting for this moment. Gong Miaoyi nodded and said, "I didn't want to kill you, but unfortunately you have seen too much." Originally, she was going to take Jian Wushuang and others to go out. At that time, she happened to meet the 4 princes of the Maluo kingdom. She took the opportunity to kill someone, and then she took the opportunity to escape. But Jian Wushuang and King Bai had seen too much, and she had a hunch. It seemed that the aura in Jian Wushuang's body had some kind of connection with her. She hadn't noticed it at first, but after taking over the inheritance, he felt that something was wrong and he couldn't see through Jian Wushuang, the third-order emperor. Only then took the risk and took the initiative to take out the treasures in the inheritance. Eternal treasure, blood Luojing. This is still the eternal treasure of the highest quality. It is a priceless treasure, the pinnacle treasure among the 4 great secret realms, not necessarily owned by the 6th-order emperor. As soon as she took control, she broke through to become the 4th-order peak emperor, and her strength increased by hundreds of times. Now let alone the 4th-order peak emperor, even the 5th-order emperor can fight. Gong Miaoyi was stunned for a moment. Her body was a little weak when her breath broke out, and there were a lot of cracks in her body. Although it was only a saint of a small power, her mother had a lot of treasures in her hands. Although they were all mobile, a little bit of it allowed Gong Miaoyi's divine body to break through 10,000 times earlier. Chapter 5401. Only later, I have been paying attention to the origin, and I didn't go much in terms of the divine body. Now her strength suddenly skyrocketed, but her divine body couldn't support it. Jian Wushuang outside the hall soon discovered this, and immediately shouted angrily, "Do it!" The 4th-order peak is only, even if it is a complete Dao, it is almost the same as the current King Bai. Jian Wushuang has not paid attention to it. The two of them joined forces to win a Gong Miaoyi still more than rubbing together. The phantom of Kendo began to appear, and thousands of phantom swords rose up. Absolute immortal formation. He had to see how low the strength of this Gong Miaoyi was, anyway, above the source, the opponent and not weaker than the current King White. You must know the origin of King White, but according to the secret method created by the gods, plus his power of all things, a trace of blood was sacrificed. The saint of a small force on the other side possesses this kind of origin. Especially after taking over the inheritance of the unique school, the origin has become more powerful. Jian Wushuang pressed his plan in his heart. No matter what, he had to take down this Gong Miaoyi today, and he had to study it carefully. These 4 secret realms were different from what he had imagined and heard. Now he felt it. You. When the 3 of them fought together, Gong Miaoyi stared at Jian Wushuang with a surprised look. Jian Wushuang didn't really shoot before, but now the origin of the hands is undoubtedly exposed. The powerful origin pressure Gong Miaoyi's chest rises and falls, and his breath is a little unstable. Gong Miaoyi's origin was able to compete with Gong Miaoyi's origin, which surprised Gong Miaoyi very much. Her mother told her that the origin in the body is the strongest origin among the 4 great secret realms, but now she has just inherited, and she has encountered a strong person who is similar to her origin. Then there is a more abnormal, Jian Wushuang's original aura, which exceeds her by several levels. If her origin is a spring water, then Jian Wushuang's origin is a vast ocean. Although the origin was suppressed, Gong Miaoy's biggest reliance now was the blood Luo Jing in his hand, and the blood-colored lines burst out, instantly restraining King White. Jian Wushuang frowned, his figure resembling a ghost, instantly transformed into thousands of clones, and fled in all directions. The binding power of the blood-colored lines was amazing. Jian Wushuang did not dare to take risks. A pair of wings burst behind him, and the beast god domains suddenly descended. His divine body began to skyrocket. 20,000 times. 23,000 times. 26,000 times. 27,800 times. In an instant, the divine body exploded to an unprecedented level, its wings trembling, and a simple long sword appeared in his hand. That is the imitation of the eternal treasure long sword. King Bai was uncomfortable being entangled. He was originally a strong man who followed the line of the divine body. Now the divine body is absent, there is no source, no secrets and secrets. And there is nothing on him, just a naked Tier 4 pinnacle powerhouse. Relying on the strength of the source, struggling in the lines. Don't struggle. Jian Wushuang rushed into the lines again. He found that the more Prince Bai struggled, the tighter those lines became. King White was stunned for a moment, and then he came to understand. After all, he is an old brand strong, and he reacted quickly. This blood-colored line restrained the White King very much, and was relatively weak for Jian Wushuang's existence of the impending Mahayana in this space. After entering again, his figure was like a ghost, and the cold blade cut off countless blood-colored lines that approached him, and he could not threaten Jian Wushuang at all. The long sword was spinning around the waist. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows flickered, and at a glance, the structure of the entire space appeared in front of his eyes. The upper 3 floors, the middle 3 floors, and the lower 3 floors, the space of one layer is interspersed with the whole world, while the blood-colored lines are interspersed in the space of 9 layers. Jian Wushuang's figure disappeared in the entire 9-layer space, and even his breath disappeared. The scarlet line can't threaten him, but it can stop him. It's not a way to spend here, he has to quickly take down Gong Miaoy. Later it changes. I originally thought that after helping King Bai to reshape his origin, even if he didn't have a physical body or a divine body, he would have to be comparable to a 5th-order emperor. As a result, Gong Miaoy's face was ashamed, and in the end he had to rely on him. At the end of space, in a black hole, Jian Wushuang's figure is like a ghost. This is the maneuver he learned from the black hole. The body hidden in the void will eventually be discovered. Only by entering the black hole is it truly isolating everything. In the deep space, Jian Wushuang is a black hole. Facing Jian Wushuang, who had disappeared suddenly, Gong Miaoy's expression moved, and she couldn't notice the existence of Jian Wushuang. Yep. Ren? Gong Miaoy lightly danced the blood Luo Jing. With tens of thousands of lines surrounding herself, she was not sure whether Jian Wushuang would immediately. The space here was opened up separately, not that the sky could tear the space and leave at will. The space in the cave mansion contains 9 levels of space, and the 5th-order emperor can't get out, let alone Jian Wushuang, a 3rd-order emperor. In her mind, although Jian Wushuang's strength was somewhat mysterious and unclear, it did not ridiculously exceed the 5th-order emperor. Should guard or guard against. Surrounded by thousands of bloodlines, is interspersed with 9 layers of space, which cannot be broken if it is not a 5th-order emperor. King White was uncomfortable being entangled, and shouted angrily, "You angered me, you will definitely die." At this moment, he returned to his previous fierceness, which really shocked Gong Miaoy. Who could be frightened by this strength? Hee, you should get rid of me first. Gong Miaoy's mind was not on King Bai at all, so he simply perfunctory and ignored it. If she really fights for her strength, she is not an opponent of King White, but she has Shui Luo Jing, and it happens to suppress King White firmly with her softness. Jian Wushuang is really weird. And the ability to seize opportunities is particularly strong. Just when Gong Miaoyi split a thought to look at King Bai, his figure turned into a particle in the gap of space, close to 30,000 times the divine body, condensed into a point, and burst into form a miniature black hole. Swallow! A strong suction force dissipated Gong Miaoyi's consciousness. Shui Luojing had just activated his might and wanted to penetrate the black hole that Jian Wushuang had turned into, but stopped when he approached Jian Wushuang. Without consciousness, Shui Luojing also lost its luster. The scarlet line disappeared, and after the White King got out of trouble, his figure turned around and hit with a punch, accompanied by a strong storm. Do not! Gong Miaoyi woke up suddenly, her eyes contracted. The punch that was about to hit stopped in an instant. This time, it was not that King Bai pitied and cherished you, but Gong Miaoyi's voice was strange, or rather familiar. Are you Jian Wushuang? Bai Jun looked at Gong Miaoyi and couldn't believe it. Gong Miaoyi relaxed for a while, and then said with an indistinguishable voice, I entered her body. Jian Wushuang turned into a particle, and after entering Gong Miaoyi's body, it directly occupied her source. Chapter 5402. At first he thought about swallowing it directly, but then he discovered that instead of swallowing it, it is better to feed it slowly, which would be more efficient. On Gong Miaoyi's source pillar, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged, and Gong Miaoyi stood in front of him. If you want to survive, you must be obedient. Jian Wushuang is very casual, behind him is a black hole, and it takes only a moment to kill Gong Miaoyi. In the source, it relies on a powerful thought power. Although Gong Miaoyi's origin is strong, but her thought power is average, Jian Wushuang's breath can destroy her origin law body. What are you going to do? Jian Wushuang shook his head and asked back, What are you going to do? The inheritance that took over is so special that it is almost unheard of. This is not in Primordial Star. The inheritance there is all brought out by the real spirit, and it can be said to be strong. Just like Hui Qing's reincarnation inheritance, it comes with an enchantment, and you can't see it. Hui Qing told him to understand how powerful it is. That can allow the ultimate Taoist monarch to practice is naturally extraordinary. But in the four great secret realms, where the origins are scarce and pitiful, how could there be the ultimate emperor's unique knowledge? Could it be that true spirit put it here on purpose? Obviously impossible. Both Qiu Huang and the Old Horned Man clearly stated that it is impossible for people in the four secret realms to use it. Otherwise, it would not control the four secret realms like raising pigs. Gong Miaoyi panicked completely. Now she has no way to go, and now she can only stabilize Jian Wushuang as much as possible. This inheritance was left to me by my mother. She left so suddenly that she didn't have time to explore. With a movement of Jian Wushuang's thoughts, he directly pulled Gong Miaoyi in front of his eyes, staring at her eyes. The eyes in the eyes were very beautiful like the starry sky. If you dare to tell a lie again, I will put your body in a mundane pig cage, your body will be refined into a light lamp, and your origin will be torn and swallowed by me. This time, it wasn't to scare the other party. If he couldn't pry out too much useful information, he would have to do it cruelly. Gong Miaoyi crawled in front of Jian Wufang, her body trembling slightly. My mother had just fallen, and she was squeezed in the Star Pavilion, and she had to rely on the four princes of Maluo who greeted her, and now she fell into Jian Wu's hands, and she must be cleaned up. I am afraid that she will not have it in the end. Good death. You kill me. Gong Miaoyi's eyes are reddish. This time she is not pretending to be pitiful. Bo sympathizes. This time she was determined to die. It won't be too happy to say death. It is better not to say, just torture the other party. Jian Wushuang frowned as he looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. Unexpectedly, if the other party didn't eat his set, he seemed to be holding a mortal heart. Jian Wushuang directly stood up and said coldly, Okay, very good. That being the case, there is nothing left to say. Jian Wushuang directly manipulated Gong Miaoyi, suppressed her origin, and controlled Gong Miaoyi's body by himself. Go! Seeing hesitating and stopping. Jian Wushuang, who controls Gong Miaoi, said coldly, "Go out first. This time I came in, but I didn't get any treasure, but I didn't lose money after I got a Gong Miaoi. Now when I go out, I can still meet the powerhouse of the Maluo kingdom. With Gong Miaoi's identity, he happens to be with the eldest Prince Rasha." Swish. Two figures appeared beside Gong Miaoi. This is Jian Wushuang's clone. Change the origin at will. They are two fourth-order emperors. Gong Miaoi took a deep breath, and Jian Wushuang's methods were more terrifying than being controlled by Jian Wushuang. "You come in too." After thinking for a while, Jian Wushuang stopped King Bai. After reintroducing King Bai into his body, Jian Wushuang's law body suddenly turned around and patted Gong Miaoi's chest with a palm. A mouthful of scarlet blood spurted out. Jian Wushuang's law body nodded and sneered, "This is more like this." Now Gong Miaoi's source pillar is very lively. The three sit cross-legged in a circle. Jian Wushuang told King Bai some things he knew, and there was nothing to hide from King Bai. King Bai knew the secrets of himself, but he couldn't kill the opponent. King Bai frowned when he heard it and said to Gong Miaoi, "Are you eager to die?" Seeing Gong Miaoi turned his head and did not answer, King Bai's tone became cold and he said fiercely, "Since we can't use it only for us, then you go to die. Your power will also be destroyed. I heard that your mother's body is still well preserved. Don't worry, I will take care of her old man." Gong Miaoi didn't care about the other threats, but when she heard her mother, a strange light flashed in her eyes. She was completely panicked. She could not be ordered, but no one could humiliate her mother. Snapped. King Bai slapped Gong Miaoi's head with a palm, seizing the secret memory of the magic way. This is not a simple soul search, but a very clever method to collect other people's subconscious minds. Jian Wushuang was stunned looking at him from the side. His father is not dead. King Bai turned his head to look at Jian Wushuang, revealing an evil smile. This is a bit too much. Gong Miaoi was trembling all over. Even Jian Wushuang did not expect that King Bai would be so cruel. The scene of the meeting between father and daughter should be very touching. King White looked at Gong Miaoi again. The two of calm only glanced at each other, and they leaked a look of despair. She compromised. Jian Wushuang shook his head and sighed. "It seems that I am still a little bit close, outside world." The cave mansion began to shrink, and Gong Miaoi was dragged by Jian Wushuang's two law bodies to the cave mansion immediately, and he patted it with a horrible palm just showing up. The huge palm directly shattered Jian Wushuang's clone, leaving only a trace of original consciousness. "General Kuan-tai, this woman is mine." The fourth prince stood up directly. Kuan-tai's expression changed, and after seeing the two people who were suppressed casually, he felt as if he had been tricked. When he came, Luo Chuan didn't tell him that. With the force of the huge palm, even the last trace of the origin was also killed. Luo Chuan leaked a smile and walked to Gong Miaoi's side. He got the person, and as for offending Kuan-tai, he didn't care at all. He is not in the military department, and he is offended when he offends. In the future, when he breaks through the Fifth Order Emperor, how can he be afraid of a general of the army? It's okay. Luo Chuan's face just changed when his hand touched Gong Miaoi's shoulder. Gong Miaoi's willow eyebrows were upside down, and he didn't say a word. But from the bottom of my heart, I was telling Jian Wushuang and the others, I have been discovered. Jian Wushuang had long noticed that something was wrong. Not Gong Miaoi was playing a ghost, but the four princes of Mo Luo Kingdom were not simple. Actually, I was able to discover that there was something special in Gong Miaoi's body. Since it was discovered, Jian Wushuang still understands the principle of first attacking. A power of all things was injected into Gong Miaoi's courtyard, instantly allowing Gong Miaoi to restore her peak strength, and then another one was separated and entered into the body of King Bai. "Do it!" Jian Wushuang shouted loudly. Chapter 5403. The next moment, he appeared behind Gong Miaoi, raising his hand to cut Gong Miaoi's head with a sword. When the simple long sword cut to Gong Miaoi's body began to flicker, and finally turned into a bubble, and there was no time for any sword, but it was cut on Luo Chuan's neck. After a heavy muffled sound, Jian Wushuang knew that the opportunity was gone and could only retreat. Luo Chuan, at the moment when he discovered something was wrong, a layer of transparent armor was condensed on his body surface. It was the eternal treasure. How could Jian Wushuang break open with a single sword? At the same time, Gong Miaoyi and King Bai also fought against the strong from the military headquarters of Maluo. That fifth-order emperor is not ordinary, at least comparable to the top fifth-order emperor. King Bai and Gong Miaoyi were both crushed and beaten together. In the Vortex Sea area, the deepest sea water began to reverse, and the shocking wave made the sea no longer calm. After Luo Chuan felt threatened, he immediately raised his body and started rushing upwards, trying to break through the sea. Although the princes of the Maluo kingdom are pregnant with ghosts, none of them are afraid of death. Luo Chuan, who rushed out, didn't want to escape. With the demon aura in the bottom of the sea, he was worried that Jian Wushuang and the others would escape, so he first revealed that he was afraid of death, took Jian Wushuang out of the bottom of the sea, and then shot. Not to mention, Jian Wushuang really didn't expect this. According to the plan, he and King Gong Miaoyi Bai were preparing to kill Luo Chuan first, and then besiege the fifth-order emperor. Unexpectedly, Luo Chuan's vigilance would be so high. After the sneak attack failed, King Bai and Gong Miaoyi had no choice but to work together to involve Kuntai. Want to escape? That was the fourth prince of Maluo, a big fish. But now is not the time for fishing. The two of King Bai and Gong Miaoyi can't contain them for long. In addition, there are hundreds of third-order emperors, of which there are dozens of fourth-order emperors. Jian Wushuang's wings vibrated behind his back, interspersed with the space, and instantly reached the middle of these people. Candle Dragon's Eye. The wings were wrapped around his body, and an inverse feather rolled and shredded. I don't know how many emperors were. The eyes of the Candle Dragon swept over, and these people were directly stoned. Against the third-order emperor, Jian Wushuang was slaughtering. Even the fourth-order emperor can't hold it a few times in his hands. With the wings spread, the blessing of the beast god realm was not very stable. Just a series of shots, his divine body fell to about 20,000. Now dealing with the two fourth-order peak emperors, it is a bit difficult. Moreover, Luo Chuan watched Jian Wushuang not chasing him and turned back. Among these emperors, there were also Luo Chuan people, but they were slaughtered by Jian Wushuang before they could be saved. The remaining fourth-order emperors are far away. When Kuntai noticed this scene, he was furious and dispelled Gong Miaoyi and King Bai with a palm, and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. You're looking for death. These 100 emperors were all his direct descendants, and died so many all at once. Don't say whether he could explain or not. Just this time to strangle the rebellion, he didn't see anyone as rebellious, but Luo Chuan looked at it. He looks like a traitor from the Maluo military department. If Luo Chuan were not a direct prince, he would have killed his opponent long ago. These emperors, who are not veterans who have fought for several epochs, have now been massacred like this. Zhulong's wings shook, Jian Wushuang's figure disappeared directly, Kuntai shot down without giving up, and several purple gold thunders were gathered in his palm, and he shot it casually. The sea water turned purple, and the power of thunder made the sea water boil. I don't know how many miles in this sea area, all of it boiled from the cold state. Fortunately, the sea monsters here are not weak and will not be scalded to death. But the siren at the core of the vortex was miserable, falling in large numbers. It was necessary to find Jian Wushuang, otherwise Kuntai would not give up. Luo Chuan stood by. He was not afraid of Jian Wushuang, but at this time he was a little afraid of Kuntai. He didn't expect that Kuntai would be so angry because of several weak emperors. Thunder is furious, but that's it. Does it feel ridiculous? Kuntai turned to look at Luo Chuan, and said in a cold voice, "The things you want are born, and the things we want, we need to work our own." Luo Chuan didn't understand a bit, but he could feel Dao Kuntai would attack him at any time. If Jian Wushuang can't be found yet, I'm afraid he'll use him to vent his anger. Jian Wushuang, the incarnation of the black hole, may not be found by the sixth-order emperor. At this time, he re-entered Gong Miaoyi's body to seek opportunities. Purple thunder sealed the gap between the 9 layers, but couldn't stop Jian Wushuang. After unable to look around, Kun Tai really secretly shot Luo Chuan, and a purple thunder directly hit Luo Chuan's forehead. Mistakes! With two simple words, Kun Tai didn't say much. This time I blame Luo Chuan, the broom star, otherwise he wouldn't die so many brothers. It's not a big deal to give him a shattering point of origin. Luo Chuan couldn't stand this humiliation, staring at Kun Tai with staring eyes. The matter was endless. He considered it to be written down, and not only on the head of Kun Tai, but also on the head of the eldest prince Luo Sha. If he gains God's way in the future, he will surely be ashamed. What should I do now? Gong Miaoyi used the lines to protect the surroundings. Asked Jian Wushuang in his body. The White King was a little aggrieved, a tier 5 top emperor, he couldn't kill him. With a little bit of power, the divine body and the flesh began to collapse. Jian Wushuang looked to the outside world through the space, thinking. He could see now that the identity of the fourth prince who came is generally useless to kill, and it may not be able to attract the attention of the prince. Leave first. Jian Wushuang sighed, this time let's do it. It would be very detrimental to him if the fight went on. The Fifth Order Emperor is extraordinary, Gong Miaoyi and the Bai Emperor can't stop him, otherwise he can still fight. Gong Miaoyi was very happy to hear that Jian Wushuang was about to withdraw. She didn't want to be delayed here. Although King Bai was very unconvinced, he had no choice but to go first. In the face of purple thunder, it is not easy to want to go. Jian Wushuang quietly transmitted to King Bai, you follow Gong Miaoyi first. After I break, remember to look after her. There are 6 avatars and the deity. The fighting power of the 7 emperors. Now his clone also has the power of a tier 4 emperor, plus a set of the best innate treasures, and the power of everything can be comparable to the tier 4 top emperor. The clone was used to contain other emperors, while the deity blocked the Fifth Order Emperor. When Kun Tai saw Jian Wushuang appear again, he exploded with aura and rushed over. Humph! Jian Wushuang turned around and fled in the opposite direction from Gong Miaoyi's escape. You think you can escape? Kun sneered too much when he caught up with him, and the light of the purple thunder grew stronger. That is the eternal treasure. The purple spear pierced from the void, causing hundreds of millions of inverted seawater to flow back. The reason why the Fifth Order Emperor is much better than the Fourth Order Emperor is because he can control the complete eternal treasure. Chapter 5404. On the origin of Tao, Kun Tai is no more than an ordinary Fifth Order Emperor, and the origin of space is even more ordinary, incomparable to Jian Wushuang. With the eternal treasure, the combat power reached the top level of Tier 5. Facing the purple spear exuding thunder, Jian Wushuang did not dare to stop him. His power was too strong, he might fall if he was stained with a trace. The divine body fell too fast, now it is less than 20,000 times. Faced with the eternal treasure, this divine body is still not enough to see, and can only let the clone rise to die. The spear passed through Jian Wushuang's clone, as if it had pierced the tofu, which could not be stopped at all. Curse! Before the avatar was broken, the long sword on his head sprang out, and a towering giant sword broke through the water from the depths of the sea, blocking the spear. Kun Tai was taken aback. He also did not expect that the Fourth Order Emperor in front of him could actually block the eternal treasure, which was worth it. One grabbed the turbulent spear and pierced the heaven punishment sword with one stab. It was just a delay, Gong Miaoyi had already escaped very far. What? Kun was too surprised that his thunder space was also broken. Gong Miaoyi and King Bai did not care about anything at this time, holding their heads and fleeing. Purple thunders were bound by bloodlines. The bloodline is like a dragon, but thunder is a snake. Eternal treasure? It's the ultimate eternal treasure. Luo Chuan in the distance was surprised. He had a wide range of knowledge. He had seen Master take action and used the ultimate eternal treasure. Usually only the Sixth Order Emperor possesses the ultimate eternal treasure. It is difficult for ordinary Fifth Order Emperors to obtain the eternal treasure without a background. For example, Kun Tai also fought for countless years, and was awarded an eternal treasure after making great contributions. Generally, the eternal treasures used by the Fifth Order emperors are ordinary goods. High-level eternal treasures are not sold at all, and even auctions like the Heavenly Court rarely appear. It is also outrageously expensive. Not to mention the eternal treasure of the best, the Sixth Order Emperor has very few. The appearance of this kind of treasure will provoke a lot of Tier 6 bosses to it. At that time, nothing happened to the Fifth Order Emperor. Not only was Kuan-Tai looking enthusiastic, Luo Chuan put everything down at this time, and burst out with 12 points of combat power, a roundabout, his body shape turned, and he went straight to Gong Miaoyi and King Bai. Without even looking at Jian Wushuang. Revenge can be done at any time, but this kind of opportunity is something that some people will never encounter in their lives. If you don't fight this time, you may regret it for a lifetime. As Kuan-Tai said to Luo Chuan, what they don't have, they must go desperately to obtain. Now you need to work hard. As long as you work hard, you can get it. The two Fourth Order Peak Emperors couldn't stop him. The ultimate eternal treasure is at your fingertips. This idiot. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth, wanting to curse. The Purple Thunder does not need to use the eternal treasure at all. Isn't it good to fly out slowly? Have to pretend, break the space with Shui Luojing. It's all right now, and he was watched by the Fifth Order Emperor. He is fine, but Gong Miaoyi is the biggest receipt of this trip and can't give up. The 9 heavenly punishment swords attacked from the depths of the ocean floor, directly blocking Kuan-Tai's path. Facing the Heaven Punishment Sword, Kuan was too furious. He didn't expect that Jian Wushuang would dare to stop him. If he didn't stop him, Jian Wushuang could escape. Jian Wushuang sneered and said with a faint smile, "If you don't kill me, you just want to go." With that, Wan Jian phantoms all appeared behind him. Absolutely learned array. Sleepy Fairy Test. Today's Juxian formation is no longer a chassis. Jian Wushuang has improved a lot from start to finish, and it's still useful. His strength with the Emperor's strength is too short, he didn't practice any kendo skills, and he didn't create it himself. The Heaven Punishment Sword on the 7th floor of the Ultimate Sword Dao, although its apex, its power is only average among emperors. It is difficult to kill some Tier 4s. Now his divine body and physical body are stronger than kendo. But facing the Fifth Order Emperor, he did not dare to fight melee. Now the divine body is unstable, and I am afraid that it can't stop a move at close range. This trapped immortal formation is suitable to deal with the Fifth Order Emperor. You can trap the opponent first, and delay the time for Gong Miaoyi and King Bai. The Phantom Sword was all over the sky, and countless Dao formations soon formed. 9, 8 million. Every sword can kill the Emperor. This is the limit of the ultimate way. Go! Jian Wushuang pointed out his fingertips and shouted angrily, "Troubled immortal!" The 9, 8 million swords burst out unparalleled sword energy. Gradually a hexagonal, 88-layer sword formation trapped Kuan-Tai inside, and the sword energy inside was boiling, but if you want to hurt Kuan-Tai, not too possible. Where is the upper limit? The 7th layer of the ultimate way can be combined, but it's like that. The key is that he is not in harmony. A single kendo, being able to achieve the current level when Dao Jun, is already the limit. Even if Hui Qing went down to the Tomb Mountain, whether he could kill the Fourth Order Emperor was a problem. Let alone fight against the Fifth Order Emperor. This trapped immortal formation can easily strangle the Fourth Order Emperor. Dao Sovereign has reached this level with higher levels, and even if the gods are here, they are qualified to show off. It's a pity that the good times don't last long. After all, the opponent is a Fifth Order Emperor. Kuan-Tai yelled violently and pointed one hand to the sky. A purple thunder burst from his palm, directly splitting the millions of miles of seawater. In the dim seabed, I directly saw the sky outside. This movement directly alarmed the strong in the surrounding waters. Even so, it still failed to break the sleepy immortal formation. Jian Wushuang stubbornly supported. The thunder flickered, the sword shadow began to dim, and the powerful sword energy that burst out was also messy. Little carving skill, I want to trap this seat. Kuan-Tai opened a palm again, and at the moment the trapped immortal formation broke open, the punch condensed into a single extreme, and through the broken formation, blasted towards Jian Wushuang. This punch has no shadow or breath, it's just a single point. Jian Wushuang was shocked, and it was too late to retreat. The Candle Dragon's inner armor instantly condensed on his chest, and the Candle Dragon's wings wrapped his whole body, and at all costs forcibly moved the beast god realm, raising the divine body to 30,000 times again. Boom! When he came into contact with Jian Wushuang, that extreme point exploded in an instant. It starts from a weak point, but the outbreak is endless. The shocking eruption caused Jian Wushuang to retreat 1,000,000 miles, which still had the resistance of seawater. The dual protection of Candle Dragon's wings and Candle Dragon's inner armor still caused Jian Wushuang's body to collapse again and finally reunited. The 30,000 times divine body took this hard, although it was cut to an extremely weak level by the inner armor and wings, it still caused the divine body to be severely damaged, and it was directly devastated, and it was reduced to less than 10,000 times. Fortunately, the origin of Ji Dao is transforming the sea. This punch hasn't hurt his origin. Gong Miaoi and King Bai, who were fleeing in the distance, also noticed here. King Bai's complexion changed, and he turned his head to look at Gong Miaoi and said coldly, "If you dare to be clever, I will definitely kill you." Chapter 5405. Just when Gong Miaoi took the initiative to expose the treasure, he realized that something was wrong. Sure enough, the other party is not a fool who has never seen the world, and he can see the power of the eternal treasure at a glance. I couldn't see it in the previous fight, but breaking through the purple thunder and breaking through the space, this kind of force to break the law, either its own strength surpassed the opponent too much, or it was carrying a strange treasure. Gong Miaoi is the latter, directly exposing the power of Shui Luojing. Now I still think about Jian Wushuang's death. How can we escape? Gong Miaoi had no light on her face, but she was a little excited in her heart. The two tigers are fighting, and she is relieved now. But I don't dare to be too proud. If Jian Wushuang really fell, she would be in trouble, and the White King in front of him would not help him stop Kuntai. When Jian Wushuang swore to stop Kuntai to the death, a color appeared in her eyes, but it drifted away. Jian Wushuang is not for her. It is for the greater good. It's for her body, the origin of the inside. Although the two of them did not slow down, the White King was a little worried. Although they knew Jian Wushuang's ability, they were facing the Fifth Order Emperor after all. What if Jian Wushuang falls? Although Yuan had refined it for him, Jian Wushuang, a powerful teammate, he didn't want to just give up. "You go first, it'll help Jian Wushuang." King Bai made up his mind. Just now, Jian Wushuang's voice rang in their ears. "Don't worry about me, you go to the Black Devil Sea, where time and space are chaotic, you will be safe wherever you go." Jian Wushuang's voice was a little hoarse. Obviously he was seriously injured. The physical strength has indeed affected a lot. At least this time the source is not injured, and with the source, everything is possible. The physical body is constantly recovering, but the divine body needs treasures. The original sacred stones were all replaced with treasures when they left Daxia. When they went on the expedition, they also smashed a lot of treasures from the cheap old lady. Now they swallowed them in one bite, regardless of whether they could be consumed or not. The promised divine body, like a giant gold-swallowing beast, continuously digests and merges. The divine body began to rise. Feeling Jian Wushuang's aura began to climb, King White could only go first when he gritted his teeth. Then rumors to Jian Wushuang, "You kid, don't die." Hee, optimistic about Gong Miaoi, "If she runs away, I will kill you." Jian Wushuang laughed at himself. It was not easy for him to die. At least the Fifth Order Emperor in front of him can't kill him. If he really could kill him, he wouldn't be able to protect the Palace Miaoi. Compared with my own life, nothing. "You are not dead yet?" Kuntai was no longer surprised, but felt incredible. A guy who looked like a Fourth Order Emperor first trapped him, and then stubbornly resisted him with a full punch without dying. Jian Wushuang only leaked a pair of eyes, and his whole body was wrapped in black armor. He sneered and said, "It's not that easy to kill me." One thought. Suddenly the power of thinking rises. The sea is trembling. Universe. The vortex sea area has completely turned into a vortex. Fish and shrimp are like stars, and the vortex is the universe. Kuan-Tai's eyes suddenly shrank to an extreme point. This was the first time he saw this kind of move. The surrounding space for hundreds of millions of miles is consolidating, and the original 9-story space has become one. On both sides of the whirlpool, 2 huge stars rose up. One cold, one hot. The way of everything. Tao begets 1, life is 2. These 2 are 2 poles. The 2 poles give birth to 4 images again. Under a continuous evolution, the universe was born. Now Jian Wushuang's understanding of Ji Dao is very deep, and he is no longer as vague as before. He only feels that Yin universe is only a realm. He is more willing to believe that this universe is real. It may not be at this point in time, but the universe will be real in the future. It's like the starry sky that I went to back then. A star eventually becomes a planet of life. From that barren ancient giant, it finally evolved into a race. The giant man with a stone axe is just like him. Both are great developers. The former opens up ethnic groups. He wants to open up a universe, even a starry sky, and he wants to overlook the eternal tribes. From the beginning of time to the end of time, he must rule. Today, I want to see how strong the 5th Order Emperor is. Jian Wushuang was a little crazy. He hadn't tried his best for a long time, and then murmured softly, "Look at how strong I am." Boom! The forces of the universe converge. The simple long sword appeared in Jian Wushuang's hands, just like the original pillar of the ultimate kendo erected in the Sea of Origin. 10,000 ways belong to one sword. Town. On a whim, Jian Wushuang actually wanted to kill this 5th Order Emperor. He himself didn't know who gave him the courage. But when the word was spit out, Kuan-Tai actually started to panic. "Luo Chuan, stop those 2 people." Kuan took a breath too hard. He knew that he might not have a chance to chase him personally this time, and he might fall in the next battle. Luo Chuan was stunned for a moment, but he wanted to stop, but he didn't have that strength. What is Luo Chuan's level now? Although he didn't use his full strength when fighting Jian Wushuang, he really had to fight hard, and it was not bad to be able to stop a Tier 4 peak. Yu reading www.Akanshu. Kam Gong Miaoi has the ultimate eternal treasure. He is not an opponent. If he doesn't stop well, he has to get in. King White's strength was violent, and he couldn't stop it. Adding these 2 people together, ordinary 5th Order Emperors couldn't stay. Now there is no way. Call someone. Luo Chuan gave up. But he wouldn't be called a member of the military headquarters of the Maluo Kingdom. He had already sent the message to his master. The 6th Order Peak Emperor, from Guiling Island to here, it will not take long. Moreover, the induction power of the 6th Order Emperor is amazing. As long as he can't escape far, he can find the opponent based on the traces in the space. Kuan found that Luo Chuan was unmoved, and Kuan understood too much. Although Luo Chuan's eyes were hot, he still didn't faint. But Mrs. Kuan is different. He is from a very young age and he is unwilling to give up. If he gets the ultimate eternal treasure, he can also retire directly. You don't need to be a dog for the Maluo Kingdom anymore. If you win a long distance by yourself, you don't need any family, Taoist couples, descendants and grandchildren. His current origin realm is only an ordinary 5th Order Emperor. If he obtains the eternal treasure of the highest quality and comprehends the lines in the supreme treasure, he can improve the origin, and maybe it can make the origin reach the top of the 5th Order. When the time comes, plus the treasure, there will be peak combat power. The 6th Order Emperor is invincible if he can't come out. You don't need to rely on others, you are your backer. Fight. Facing Jian Wushuang, Kuan-Tai's boiling water burned his origin, and even the divine body was burning. Directly burned 10%, so that the strength doubled. Jian Wushuang's expression also changed. The face is gone. Deal with him, a Taoist monarch, burning the original divine body. You can push me to this point, I have to say that you are against the sky. Kuan Tai said word by word, and his strength continued to rise. Chapter 5406. Chapter 5406. Emperor Slaughter. At the next moment, he appeared behind Gong Miaoyi, raising his hand to strike a sword towards her head. The ancient long sword slashed towards Gong Miaoyi, and as her body began to shimmer, it eventually turned into bubbles. However, the sword did not miss and instead struck Luo Chuan's neck. Clang. After a heavy muffled sound, Jian Wushuang realized that the opportunity was gone, and he could only retreat. Upon realizing something was amiss, a transparent armor had already condensed on Luo Chuan's body, an eternal treasure that Jian Wushuang's casual sword strike couldn't break. Meanwhile, Gong Miaoyi and Bai Junwang were engaged in a battle with the strong forces of the Mo Luo kingdom. The Tier 5 Emperor there was extraordinary, at least comparable to a top-level Tier 5 Emperor. Even with the combined efforts of Bai Junwang and Gong Miaoyi, they were being pressured in the fight. In the depths of the swirling sea, the water began to reverse, creating monstrous waves that disrupted the calm surface. Feeling the threat, Luo Chuan immediately elevated his body, rushing towards the surface, attempting to break through the sea. The princes of the Mo Luo kingdom, though harboring their own schemes, were not afraid of death. Luo Chuan's surge was not an attempt to escape. Under the eerie atmosphere of the underwater, he was more concerned that Jian Wushuang and the others might escape. Therefore, he first revealed a fearful appearance, led Jian Wushuang out of the underwater, and then took action. Surprisingly, Jian Wushuang hadn't anticipated this. According to the plan, he, Gong Miaoyi, and Bai Junwang were prepared to start by killing Luo Chuan and then besiege the Tier 5 Emperor. Unexpectedly, Luo Chuan's vigilance was so high. After the failed sneak attack, Bai Junwang and Gong Miaoyi could only join forces to engage Kuan Tai temporarily. Want to escape? The one who spoke was the fourth prince of the Mo Luo kingdom, a big shot. But now was not the time to fish. Bai Junwang and Gong Miaoyi couldn't hold out for too long. Plus, there were 100 Tier 3 emperors, including dozens of Tier 4 emperors. Jian Wushuang's wings flapped behind him, vibrating through the layers of space, and in an instant he arrived in the midst of these people. Eye of the Candle Dragon. Wrapped in wings, his body flipped in reverse, tearing through countless emperors in an instant. The Eye of the Candle Dragon swept across, turning these people directly into stone. When dealing with Tier 3 emperors, Jian Wushuang slaughtered them effortlessly. Even Tier 4 emperors couldn't withstand his attacks for long. His wings spread open, and the stability of the beast god's domain was not perfect. The continuous attacks caused his divine body to drop to around 20,000-fold. Now, facing two Tier 4 peak-level emperors, he struggled a bit. Meanwhile, Luo Chuan, seeing that Jian Wushuang wasn't pursuing him, turned back. Among these emperors were also some under Luo Chuan, but they couldn't be saved in time and were mostly slaughtered by Jian Wushuang. The remaining Tier 4 emperors kept their distance. Kuan Tai, noticing this scene, erupted in anger. He dispelled Gong Miaoyi and Bai Junwang with a palm and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. You seek death. These 100 emperors were all his direct lineage. With so many dead at once, Kuan Tai was not only concerned about accountability but also saw everyone as rebels. Ironically, Luo Chuan seemed more like a traitor from the Mo Luo army. If Luo Chuan weren't a prince, Kuan Tai would have killed him already. These emperors, once experienced generals who had fought for countless eras, were now slaughtered like this. The Candle Dragon wings trembled, and Jian Wushuang's figure disappeared. Kuan Tai's attack missed, but he didn't give up. He gathered several streams of purple-gold thunder in his palm and unleashed them. The sea turned purple, and the thunder's power made the water boil. The sea in the tens of thousands of miles around this area boiled from its cold state. Fortunately, the sea monsters here were not weak, preventing mass casualties from the scalding. However, the sea monsters at the core of the swirling sea suffered greatly, with many falling in masses. This had to be Jian Wushuang. Otherwise, Kuan Tai wouldn't give up. Standing on the side, Luo Chuan wasn't afraid of Jian Wushuang, but at this moment he was a bit afraid of Kuan Tai. He hadn't expected Kuan-tai to be so enraged over a few weak emperors. Thunderous anger, but that was understandable. Isn't it ridiculous? Kuan-tai turned to look at Luo Chuan, his voice icy. What you want you had from birth, but what we want we have to fight for ourselves. Luo Chuan couldn't quite understand, but he could sense that Kuan-tai might attack him at any moment. If Jian Wushuang wasn't found soon, he might become the outlet for Kuan-tai's anger. Jian Wushuang, in the form of a black hole, might not be found even by a Tier 6 emperor. Now back inside Gong Miaoyu's body, he sought an opportunity. Purple thunder sealed the cracks in the 9-layer space, but it couldn't stop Jian Wushuang. When he couldn't be found, Kuan-tai secretly attacked Luo Chuan, and a purple thunder struck directly on Luo Chuan's forehead. Mistake! With just this simple word, Kuan-tai didn't say anything more. This time it was all because of Luo Chuan, the jinx, otherwise, so many brothers wouldn't have died. Having a bit of the origin shattered by him was nothing. However, Luo Chuan couldn't endure this humiliation, glaring at Kuan-tai. This matter wasn't over. He noted it down, not only on Kuan-tai but also on the crown prince, Luo Sha. If he achieved the heavenly Tao in the future, he would surely wipe away this shame. Now what? Gong Miaoyu, using blood-red lines to protect the surroundings, asked Jian Wushuang inside her. On the Bai Junwang's side, things were a bit frustrating. Even a Tier 5 top-level emperor was something he couldn't kill. When he used a bit more power, his divine body and physical body started to collapse. Jian Wushuang, through the space, looked towards the outside, contemplating. He could see it now. Killing the 4th prince who had arrived wouldn't be of much use. It might not even catch the attention of the crown prince. Let's leave first. Jian Wushuang sighed. This time, it would have to end like this. Continuing the fight would only be detrimental to him. The Tier 5 emperor was extraordinary, Gong Miaoyu and Bai Junwang couldn't hold him back, or else he could have fought a bit longer. Hearing Jian Wushuang's decision to retreat, Gong Miaoyu was quite relieved. She never wanted to linger in this place anyway. Although Bai Junwang was very unwilling, he had no choice but to leave first. Facing the purple thunderstorm, leaving wasn't an easy task. Jian Wushuang quietly transmitted to Bai Junwang, "You follow Gong Miaoyu and leave first. I'll hold them back. Remember to keep an eye on her." Swish. 6 avatars, along with the main body. 7 emperor-level combat powers. Now, his avatars also possessed the power of a Tier 4 emperor, combined with a set of supreme innate treasures and the power of all things, making them comparable to top-level Tier 4 emperors. The avatars went to distract the other emperors, while the main body faced off against the Tier 4 emperor. Kuan-tai saw Jian Wushuang reappear and immediately unleashed his full aura, charging towards him. Jian Wushuang's figure twisted, escaping in the opposite direction of Gong Miaoyu's retreat. "Do you think you can escape?" Kuan-tai sneered as he caught up, the radiance of the purple thunderstorm intensifying. That was an eternal treasure. A purple spear pierced through the void, causing a tidal wave of billions of overturned seas. The reason a Tier 5 emperor was significantly stronger than a Tier 4 emperor was the ability to control a complete eternal treasure. Chapter 5407. Sun and Moon Alternate. The devilish energy was uttered. With his arm transformed behind him, he was Qianshou. It's just that now it's the magic power that is cultivating, and it can no longer be called the 1,000-hand guanyin. Now it is more like a 1,000-legged centipede. These are not important. Powerful people will never entangle the distinction between righteousness and evil. Weak strength is the greatest evil. Being strong is also the greatest evil. If you want to go the right way, then don't exist in this world. The heavenly demon art has been used to its extreme. Thousands of hands only increase combat power, and the 8-armed heavenly demon is the increased divine body. Now his divine body has increased to 35,000 times. Beyond his limit. Dao Jun can achieve 30,000 times the divine body at most, and he can break through so much because of the strength of the physical body and can hold it. The origin is also the same, because of the power of the divine body, It is so strong. Today, Jian Wushuang is very firm about his original plan, and now is the result. Since leaving Desiyu and stepping into the wilderness, I have witnessed the army of corpses in the Wangu era, and felt the power of luck in the Wangu era. Then to the temple of Qishan, the original star. Knowledge is rising, and it is not until a new understanding of the divine body, origin, and physical body that a plan is made. Walking out of the Daisai domain was his transformation from Yenxian to Dianxian. Now, from Daojun to Emperor, he will be witnessed by the temple of Qishan. Boom! The breath broke out again. The 8-armed demon turned into a 10-armed demon. The divine body is still climbing. 36,000 times. 37,000 times. The final frame is 40,000 times. If it is a 12-armed demon, it may reach an astonishing 50,000 times. The 12-armed demon is a complete demon. Jian Wushuang was really afraid that his current body could not bear it. With a slight movement of his arm, he could hear the crunch of bones. 40,000 times the divine body appeared in him as a Taoist, although the basic divine body is only 15,000 times. But the beast god domain has increased too much. When the basic divine body was burning, the increase was 20,000 times, followed by the direct increase of the beast god realm to 30,000 times, and the increase of the eccentricity to 40,000 times. The increase of the beast god weapon is to include the increased divine body. Normally, without burning, he was able to increase the increase by more than 10,000 times with the beast gods, but this time it only increased by 10,000 times, obviously because the increase was weakened by the strength of the divine body. Although it is a decrease, this also shows that the increase of the beast gods does not overlap with the absolute knowledge, which is equivalent to 2 increases. There are treasures that increase the divine body, and there are many, but they all overlap with the kinesthetic, so there are very few that can increase the increase. 40,000 times the divine body changed Jian Wushuang's entire body. The mechanism of the body is close to its limit. Black hole. Now Jian Wushuang felt that his body was a black hole. In an instant, both of them moved. The strong fight against each other, especially in hand-to-hand combat, and the slightest chance is enough to cause serious injury to the opponent. Every palm or every punch of Jian Wushuang was ridiculously fast, and he could hit 1,000,000 punches in the blink of an eye. 10 arms are 10 million punches, 40,000 times the full punch of the divine body. Its power can be imagined, and the 4th order emperor can't hold it. How could his divine body be so strong? Kun was too difficult to resist. His 5th order emperor barely managed to achieve 30,000 times the divine body, while still burning the divine body. Even if the opponent burns the divine body, it shouldn't be so powerful. The origin is very outrageous. The divine body is still so strong. Could it be that the one he met was the inheritor? Over the years, there has been too much news from the inheritors, and he can only think about it for a while. If it is really a successor, it is not easy to handle. On one side is a great opportunity, a supreme eternal treasure. On one side is a mysterious emperor. His strength is still so against the sky. He is obviously not a 5th order emperor, but he has such a powerful combat power. Tangled. What? However, Jian Wushuang was more and more fierce as he fought, and he hadn't experienced the feeling of flesh for a long time. Just after he hit the opponent with a punch, Kuantai's face was distorted after being hit by one of Kuantai's knee lifts. The blood flowing out is golden, and it contains powerful power. Under the desperate attack, Jian Wushuang couldn't take care of that much. Madman! Kun cursed too secretly. A moment of thought turned, Gong Miaoi and King Bai had already escaped from the range of his perception. Even if Kuantai, who is stronger than him, wants to go after him, it is too late. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, and he resisted it. Although the divine body is strong, his divine power is a lot weaker after all. He is not in harmony, and the power level gap is too large. After being beaten by Kuantai, his divine body had been reduced to 30,000 times, and the loss was very serious. Kuantai didn't get any better over there, and her body was broken. The only piece of innate supreme treasure armor he wore on his body was now shattered. Jian Wushuang has a candle dragon inner armor, which relieves a lot of impact. As for tatters, it's not that easy. In ancient times, the beasts were not damaged, they were just disintegrated. If you want to break the beast weapon, I am afraid that no one in the world can do it. Everyone is gone, you have to fight. Kuan-Tai's voice was trembling. This time she lost a lot, and she didn't get the treasure, and she was hurt. Jian Wushuang sneered and said, "If you don't leave, don't believe me." With that, he pointed at the back of Kuan-Tai. The two can be considered as a short stop. Just when Kuan-Tai gang thought about it, when Yu read www.akanshu, calm and looked back, a sharp pain came from the top of his head, as if he was knocked by someone with a stick. The harm is actually not great, but in the eyes of outsiders, it is very insulting. Especially in front of dozens of emperors. Many of them are under Kuan-Tai's. This. Luo Chuan couldn't help but almost laughed out loud, resisting the urge to laugh. In front of Kuan-Tai, he still had to give some face, but he had to spread the matter to Mo Luo Kingdom when he left here. Let everyone know that a fourth-order emperor slapped Kuan-Tai's head fiercely. Jian Wushuang was also bold and ran away after the filming. The figure appeared on the edge of the universe, leaking a wicked smile at everyone. He killed these people lazily, but it wouldn't make them feel better. 1 year universe. Jian Wushuang shouted, "Blast!" Buzzing. Kuan was too furious and his aura rose again. Today, he had to kill Jian Wushuang. But when he was about to leave, he found that the vortex had become very violent. In the next moment, a powerful suction swept through hundreds of millions of miles around, turning everyone upside down. In the face of the violent sea, Kuan was too strong to endure the resistance and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. But it was too late at this time. Jian Wushuang wanted to leave, and a fifth-order emperor couldn't stop him. All that was left at this time was a clone. Mrs. Kuan just touched this clone, and the clone exploded in an instant. The power of self-detonation is very small, but a burst of black ink spewed out of it, dying Kuan-Tai. That is the sea monster, the ink of the 8-clawed demon king. It is difficult to remove. It needs a kind of sea king's saliva to clean it. This was obtained by Jian Wushuang when he killed the sea monster. I did not expect it to be used at this time. Disgusting Kuan 2. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.